You know what I love? Oh my god. Sorry. I just love a good roast beef.
Oh, you gotta give him that huck too and spit on.
The hell you know? I don't give a fuck. Oh, I got hired that Gale.
Yeah, what's up, man? Wow, what a night of boxing. How about it? Congratulations, Vergil Ortiz, new champion, interim champion, WBC. Big win. Now, it looks like there's a lot of controversy. I get it. One thing we got to understand is boxing is subjective. It truly is. When you think about it, it all depends on what you prefer, what style you prefer. And people are going to be angry. They're going to be mad. But in no way, shape, or form was this a robbery. It truly was a fight that could have won either way. I had a scorecard, and I scored it for Vergil Ortiz. I just did. That was my scorecard. I had it, the judges had it 114, 113, I believe. I believe he pulled out the last 4 rounds. Aside from the knockdowns, let's just get to the nitty gritty. The knockdowns I felt were slips. The first one in the first round was ruled a slip. They changed it, but in the replay, if you watch it, it looks like he got touched. To me, it didn't even look like the punch landed. I'm gonna be honest. I'm telling you what I seen, and I think the viewers and the headlines confirm what I seen. You know, when I watch a fight, I'm not swayed by the announcers. I'm not swayed by the chat. I'm not swayed by the Discord. I'm not swayed by anybody. Actually, I kind of turn everything off and I just watch the fight. Now, do I have a bias? You know, I'm going at it with somebody accused of being a bias. But look, man, in reality, there's no such thing as unbiasedness in the sport of boxing. People have their favorites. They have their favorite fighter. They have their tribalistic nationality favorites, and that's okay. It's all welcome, you know. That's why they fight the fights. Javier, welcome. Thank you, man. And you guys that get in, hit the likes. Don't forget, I was there, and Virgil looked dominant. Even the 8th round where he was dropped, he got up and fucking dominated. To me, that was a 9-9 round. Yeah, Mars Boxeo, salute Frank Babe. Virgil came back from 2 flash knockdowns. He punished Sergey to make it 9-8 rounds. Virgil boxed his ears off. Yeah. Look, man, I'm going to pull up some things. And, when the fight was over, I went into a chat, the Discord. Salute Never Sobers. You know, he always has everybody, everybody together. And people were angry. Like, if Virgil lost, I wouldn't have been angry. But people were angry that he won. They felt he won. Virgil sucks. He's not this. He's not that. And okay, look, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But Bohachuk, it was tough as fuck. This guy was a top level rated contender. Okay. Everybody felt this was going to be a tough fight. Okay. You know, Bud Crawford was in a chess match yesterday. Right. But everybody felt this was fight of the year. After the fight, everybody was juiced. Everybody was happy. So, you know, that's how I know you're a hater. If you're mad after a fight like that, you're just a flat out hater. Whether your guy won or your guy lost, if you're angry at Virgil, you know, and look, it's fair. It's fair. But to be mad, it's just hater energy. It seems like, you know, maybe you lost money, but I'm going to pull things up. Dan Raphael, you know, what a fight, was very close. Jake Donovan gives the scores, very close. Mike Compinger gives the scores, very close. Dougie Fisher, Ortiz fought hard enough to make that a 10-9 despite the technical knockdown. Okay, Dougie Fisher, Ring Magazine, very credible. Lou DiBella, a former promoter, used to run HBO Boxing. Ortiz is a dog, got the benefit of the doubt. This fight was too close, too fucking good, and too debatable not to be rematched. Run it back. Okay, I don't want the rematch, but whatever. What a fight Ortiz and Boca just gave us. I have a draw probably because I don't want a loser. Look, Dan Raphael, again, Bochuk, he's kind of a hater, but he says Bochuk became so strong the rest of the round. I could have easily scored the knockdown 10-9. So that's what a lot of people are arguing too. Even if you had the knockdowns, Ortiz fought his ass off, and that's so close. I know what I was watching, and I'm reading the chat, I'm hearing callers, I'm hearing all these whiny babies and bitches and just haters. They're hating on the fight because I have no reason. I have no idea. Dougie Fisher gave it 7-5 rounds in for Ortiz, even on points, 113, sensational fight. Got to 10-8 round with 2 minutes left. Adam Aberwitz is actually another journalist. With 2 minutes left, how about waiting on that call? Okay. Steve Kim, in my opinion, no, it's close. It could have gone either way. No issue with the decision. That may have been the fight of the year. What an absolute grinding affair. Hats off to both men. Flat out war. And there you have it, man. There you have it. People just want to come in and have the haters energy they can have, right? When they just seen a great fight. Yeah, Javier Avila. Virgil showed that he can box as well. Head movement was very good. Yeah, Virgil switched it up. And, salute BDA. I think it was, were we on Friday? On Friday's show where I said Virgil is going to have to do something different. Listen, replay it. May called it. I said, Virgil's style is not going to work in this fight. He's used to steamrolling his guys. And sure enough, I said, working with Robert, maybe he does what El Rayo does and switch it up. And sure enough, Virgil came in, a lot of head movement, actually was boxing, right? He switched up. Alfredo Contreras, yes, thank you. Damn, even Lou had Virgil winning. He age for him. Yeah, look, man, that's what I'm saying, man. If you hear anybody bitching and whining and crying, it's because they have some unnatural hater energy. Or they just flat out lost money. Look, man, you can't be mad Virgil won. I couldn't be mad that Bohachuk won. In actuality, yes. Look, man, there's nobody objective or unbiased. People are going to call you what they're going to call you, but you got to stand with what you see. And I think people fuck with me because they know when I speak, I'm telling you what I see. I can look at both sides. I can objectively look. And like I said, and I went on social media, I'm looking at other YouTube channels, and people are screaming and crying. But if you look at people that they're at the fight, people that are supposed to be objective, right? Journalists, pundits, critics. It could have went either way. It literally could have went either way. I thought it was a close fight. Yeah, but I'm telling you, throughout, you're gonna see a lot of crying, whiny babies. And who cares, man? It was a hell of a fight. We said it. I said it was gonna be an absolute banger. I wasn't surprised. Oh, yeah, you know what? I mean, look, I was surprised just because of the knockdowns. Like, I had Virgil winning the first 4 rounds. And I was right. If you look at the comments, people said that Virgil came back so strong, you could even give it a 10-9 round. That's not me saying it. That's people confirming when I'm watching a fight and what I see. That's where I'm coming from. I wish I forgot to load my score. But I had it 114, 113. I gave Bohachuk a few rounds. I thought there was a few rounds that I couldn't went either way. What I seen was Virgil, and the numbers proven, Virgil landed the harder body shots. I'm going to drop the link for anybody that wants to hate on Virgil, wants to cry for Bohachuk, wants to congratulate both guys. I mean, look, man, it's all subjective, man. There's nobody going to be absolutely right, and there's nobody going to be absolutely wrong. It really depends on what you're looking for, what you've seen. Okay. Now I heard people say that Virgil never hurt Bohachuk, but I don't know how you can see that when even in the first round, Gabe Rosado, who's ringside, and he's proven not to be a hater like Andre Ward and Tim Bradley, who come and fights. He says Bohachuk's hurt. Bohachuk was wobbled. Was it enough? Oh, well, L7, you probably that's what they said about Madrimal. And you probably last week were saying, oh no, all that have to take it for the champion is bullshit. That's how I know a lot of you guys are frauds. But Gabe Rosado, I don't know how you can watch that fight and say Virgil never hurt Bohachuk. You need to rewatch that fight because Gabe Rosado sitting ringside, and I know a lot of you are going to say, well, he's an announcer, but he's there. He's watching a ringside. He's telling us, they're all confirming it. Yeah, Bohachuk was wobbled. He's hurt. You can hear it several times. And even when Victor Ortiz was knocked down, he was never hurt. He was never hurt. You can clearly see that the first knockdown was a flash knockdown, even if they reruled it. But I didn't see a punch landed. And if it did, it was a grazing shot. It most likely was off balance. But the second one, yeah, his head rocked. He was wobbled, but you could see where he was on was a slippage. There was a paint there. But even with that, I mean, everybody had it a close fight. Yeah, Virgil had him hurt a couple of times. You could see it. You could literally see Virgil working that body, throwing hellacious body shots. Did Virgil get tagged? Yeah. Did his face busted up? Both guys went to the hospital after the fight. It was a grueling, tough, tough fight. But they gave the fans what they wanted. You know, I heard last week, people were, that was a high level chess match. I said, no. It was two guys that didn't want to let their hands go. Right? And that's the narrative people spin. Oh, well, you don't know what you're watching. You're a casual. That's a high level chess match. You just don't understand. Okay, Madrimov didn't do anything. Well, neither did Bud Crawford. He actually did less and was less efficient, throwing more and over maybe 150 shots more and only landing 9 more, which tells me he was very tentative. He did not want to let his hands go. Okay. Yeah, did Vergil Ortiz get touched up? Of course. They let their fucking hands go. What do you mean he got touched up? Yeah, because they're fighting. It's a fight. Everybody was thrilled. People are excited. They're calling it fight of the year. This is not me. This is the fans. How are you going to watch a fight of the year fight and you're going to be like, oh, you're going to be upset? That means you're an absolute hater. If you were upset, you need to check your temperature, man, because something's got to be wrong with you. Rosado did a great job calling the fight. Yeah, exactly. He called it, and I heard him say, oh, man, Bohachuk landed a hard right hand, and I seen it too. He wasn't going for any one fighter, but if you watch the later round, Bohachuk was hurt a few times. He was stumbling around there. I don't understand how anybody could say he wasn't hurt. He was doing body shots. People are sitting right ringside. They're on social media, X, Twitter, and they're showing the replay. You can hear the thud. You can hear the Virgil was digging. Did he fade? Yes, he did fade. But I mean, Bohachuk never took advantage of that. Bohachuk was doing a lot of shoe shine punching. He was doing a lot of, touching them, tapping them, getting around the guard, uppercuts, long right hands. Virgil was doing a great job with the jab, but it was nip and tuck, back and forth. Fight of the year, man. I mean, wow. And we called it, man. And so, look, that's hater energy. This guy, even before the fight, I said, man, Virgil needed to make a statement, but I think with the win, a star will be born. And you're going to see the hate and the haterade and the jealousy when I say a star was born, right? Because a star was born. Look, man, everybody's calling the fight of the year. People are going to know who Vergil Ortiz is. Does he have flaws? Of course. Manny Pacquiao had flaws. Every fighter has flaws. That's what makes the fights. But Crawford has flaws. Madrimov exposed those flaws, whether it's the age or it's the weight. He's a flawed fighter. There's no, he kept getting nailed with right hands. There's no perfect fighter. And if anybody tries to say, oh, he's flawed, he's this, then you don't know boxing. You're just a hater. I don't know where you're coming from. You understand what I'm saying? Fighters get hit, and they're going to get hit more when they let their hands go. Last week, 2 guys didn't want to let their hands go. But the narrative, the spin, it was a chess match. So, yeah, man, I dropped the link. Did I drop the link? Okay, I dropped the link. Yeah, hit that like, man. Let's talk about it, man. Other news, Angelo Leo with the upset knockout of the year. And another case of, man, just guys letting their hands go. That's what we want to see as fans. I hear the high-level chess match. Oh, they're filling each other out. They're downloading down there. Fuck that, man. We gotta, as boxing fans, we need to call it what it is. Nobody gives a fuck about that shit, man. People want to see people get hurt. And it sucks, right? It sucks. But that's what we pay the money, though. I'm paying the money. I'm paying my subscription, right? I'm spending my time on beer and food, and I want to be entertained. That's life, man. That's the sport that they're in. And that's what we live for. But, yeah, I don't know what, man, aside from the decision, I don't even know if people are even remember the decision. Nobody remembers the scores of a fight. You know what they remember? They remember, man, that Vergil Ortiz kid, man, he's a beast. I want to see him again. That Bohachuk guy, damn, he left it all in the ring. I want to see him again. Excuse me. That's something else. I said it on BDA. I said, you know what, man, BDA? Last week, I know it was a high-level chess match. Maybe it was. But I didn't see guys empty the tank. I didn't see guys give it their all. You know, Magomedov lost that fight. Yeah, because he held back. He held back. But last night, you've seen, and you can go on social media, you can look at critics, people that were there. They knew, they felt that they let it all, they let it all out. Virgil won that fight, showed grit and dog. He showed different skill set, was able to close the fight like a true champion. Yeah, they left it all in the ring. You knew that. Now, they may never be the same after that fight. But we don't care as fans. We want to see more. We want to see a rematch. You know, you're losing lives in there, man. You know, these guys will never be the same. I mean, they both took a lot out of each other. Promethazine, I scored about 7-5 Virgil. Yeah, you know what? It depends. It depends what you're looking for. I gave Virgil a lot of points for harder shots. I could see Virgil hurting him, breaking him down, especially those body shots. I mean, the whole crowd, you can hear him. You can literally hear him land. It was like beating on a drum. L7, he never went down. Who never went down? Look, man, it's a fight. When people let their hands go, you're taking a risk. If I want to sit back and hold my hands and not let them go, I'm not going to go down. I'm not going to go down myself because I don't want to let my hands go. I'm afraid to get countered and knocked down. So see, that's how I know you're not fans of boxing if you say, oh, he never went down. He was doing the sweet science. No, they were afraid. They didn't want to let their hands go. They didn't want to leave it all in the ring. And we seen two guys last night that did. That's what happened. I tell you what, Bohachuk would give Crawford a run for his money, long jab power plus tight guard. He would give, Bohachuk, look, man, that guy's a tough out for anybody. He's a tough fighter. And I would say he's tougher than Madrimov. I'm going to say that because he wasn't afraid in there. He was letting his hands go. He wasn't feigning and jumping all night and doing nothing. Are you black yourself? Are you black? I don't know. Does it even matter what race or nationality we are? You know, I don't think it does, man. I'm watching the sport of boxing and I'm talking about the sport of boxing. You know, as far as what you favor and who you like, that's personal choice. You know, I think you can like all fighters, but I think where people get mad is when you talk about certain fighters, they feel like, oh, are you black? Are you white? Are you Latino? Are you Mexican? You know, they're projecting their own biases onto you so that they can point to you and say you're biased and racially motivated so that, you know, they can dismiss your opinions. Answer the question, sir. Well, I think I know who you are. Anyway, hit the like. But that's what it is, man. That's what it is. We've seen a great fight between two warriors. People are saying do it again. Now, me, I personally, the way I look at boxing, I want to see the bigger fight. Okay? And the bigger fight is Vergil Ortiz and Terrence Bud Crawford. That's the bigger fight, hands down. It just is. And I mean, why would you want anything else? When I heard Vergil Ortiz, he said he wanted to call Earl Spence, the winner of Fedora Earl Spence, and you know, really, why? I don't think you get. Well, I know why. It's a big ass fight in Texas. Virgil is in Texas, so money wise and fan wise, it's a great fight. But I think now is the time to go after Bud Crawford because he could retire tomorrow. He doesn't look motivated. All he wants is a Canelo fight. You know, I don't even. You know, the people are saying. I hear people saying, "Oh, Virgil, Bud will wipe the floor with Virgil." You know, it's a mismatch, and it's like, you know, maybe it is, maybe it's not. You know, Virgil's not ready. It does look. Virgil will probably most likely be elevated to a champion. He's an interim champion. He has a belt. He probably will get elevated to champion. It's champion versus champion, and the time is now. The time is now to get Bud Crawford. You can't wait another year and then you beat him. You know, Bud Crawford's old. He already did a lot. You know, they're going to make all the excuses for him. And for Vergil Ortiz, if you have a chance to get a legend, because look, Bud Crawford, is he a legend? I mean, I don't call him a legend, but right now, the way people glaze him and worship him, he's pretty close to a legend that we have. So Vergil Ortiz beating the number one pound for pound guy, this is the time. Why would you go after Fedora or Earl Spence, man? You know, you're not going to get the legacy you would. Well, if you know who he is, then, I mean, nobody even, you're him or you're one of his compadres, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but you can hit the link, man. You can hit the link and tell me how you feel. You know, most of these guys, you know, if they disagree, they don't hit the link. I put the link, come speak your opinion. But Vergil Ortiz, man, if somehow this Frank Bay gets to your ears, somebody watches it, listens, shares, likes, you know, the time is now. Oscar De La Hoya and Turkey Ali were speaking, and Turkey Ali. Now that's a fight I'm craving. I'll pay for. Can you imagine Bud Crawford and Vergil Ortiz? You know, Mexican American versus Black American. You know, bringing the rivalry back. You know, Floyd Mayweather said it himself. He says the biggest rivalry in sports is African Americans versus Mexicans, Mexican Americans. That's why he always had Latino opposition. Tank Davis tries to feed on Latino opposition. You know, him and Ryan Garcia was the biggest fight. Look, man, and that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. You know, the rivalries are the rivalries. You know, the nationalities, the history between the two, the fan bases of the two. That's what sells. It just does. It just does. Mexican versus Mexican, Mexican versus Puerto Rican, Mexican versus African American. It just does. African versus African American, not so much. And that's one of my hypotheses is why they don't fight each other. They're always looking for a Latino name or opponent because they know it's not to me. It's not racism. Racism is always mistaken. Racism is when someone is not afforded opportunity based on race, and it could be a black person hating a white person or a white person hating a black person. Racism is political. It's not, you know, daily. Boxing is just tribalism. That's the word that people use. Javier Avila. The only problem is that Crawford will be defensive and move around for 12 rounds to a victory. Remember that Turkey guy, the Crawford lover, would have to have 5-6 rounds in the pocket for free. I agree. But also it could be a hell of a fight. Look, man, I mean, I know people will say it's not racist. The people side with, if you're pro-black, you're pro-Mexican, that's not racism. That's just going for your win. Racism is when you literally hate on somebody getting an opportunity. That's what racism is. Okay, let's leave that at the front door and have a conversation about what it is. You can be pro-black, you can be pro-Latino, you can be pro-white. I don't have a problem with that. You know, it's ingrained in our culture. As soon as you mention race instead of the individual, it's racism. It's not. Look, man, numbers don't lie. The Latino market is the biggest consumer of boxing. So if you're going to business, if you want to be a manager, promoter, you're probably going to want to target that demographic. You know, that's why Canelo Alvarez sells. You can hate it. You know, if I'm black and I look at Canelo Alvarez and I want to buy his fight, I only buy black fighter fights. That's not racism to me. That's just preference. There could be, look, man, it's word salad. It's just people are using terms that they have no idea what they apply to and what it means. I'm talking boxing, and the rivalries are real. Puerto Ricans versus Mexicans, Puerto Ricans versus African Americans. You know, they're just great rivalries. It is what it is, you know. Soccer, the biggest sport in the world, is all about nationalities, you know. It's all about France versus Spain, you know, and I guess they're white, but they have black players. But look, it's all around us. There's no getting around it, and especially in the sport of boxing. I don't have a problem with it. I love it. Hit the like, guys. Hit the link if you want to challenge, debate, agree. Let's have at it, man. But look, man, Vergil Ortiz and Bud Crawford is now. That is the fight to make. Vergil Ortiz is a star. Now, the next plateau, the next step is superstardom. Okay? Ryan Garcia is a superstar. Canelo Alvarez is a superstar. Tank Davis is a superstar. Okay? Those are the superstars of the sport. Anthony Joshua, superstar. Okay? Devin Haney, star. Jaime Munguia, star. Those guys are stars, but they're not superstars. Had Jaime Munguia beat Canelo Alvarez, he became a superstar. If Berlanga, by some miracle, beats Canelo Alvarez, he becomes a superstar. Okay? Ryan Garcia beating Devin Haney became a superstar. All right? Now, Tank Davis, if he fights Ryan Garcia again, then he becomes, and he beats him, a superstar again. You know, stop calling. I've never said it. I'll call you Wakandans. That's how I know you're one of us because you say a name that's been used before. But did I say it right now? I think you're the racist for saying it. Salute Frank Bay, salute Pounds, welcome Pounds. Yes, yes. But a star was born last night. And you know what? People are gonna tear that down. I think Bohachuk is a name now. Now, if he won, was he a star? He doesn't no, because he doesn't have the fan base. Vergil Ortiz being Mexican American gives him a built-in fan base, which makes him an opponent that an African American will want. You know what I'm saying? Boots Ennis needs that opponent. You know what I'm saying? He's not Boots Ennis. If he were to beat Bud Crawford or Vergil Ortiz, becomes a superstar. But Boots Ennis is on the verge of stardom, but he's not a star. And Boots Ennis needs a fight like Vergil Ortiz. Okay, but Vergil Ortiz became a star last night, and like I said, what people are gonna say is, oh, he's flawed, he's not this, he's not that. But people love his fights. When people think that, when you hear his name, you'll know you want to see that guy. I got text calls, man, what a fight! I can't wait to see him again. Both guys won. People forgot about last week's fight. Who's clamoring for a Bud Crawford fight and a Madrimov fight? When they talked about the rematch, it was razor close, and nobody cared about a rematch. But this fight, people want to see a rematch. Now, me, I don't want to see it. I don't think it's necessary. Virgil won. Was it a gift? Maybe, man. You know what, guys? I can't cap for anybody, can't cap for anything. Do I have bias? Sure. But at least I'm going to tell you that. You still, that fake guy, he hasn't even been back, man. He got scared away, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that you mentioned these guys lets me know you're a clown. Frank Saludos, thank you. That fight was boring. Exactly. Boring. And you know how you know it's boring? Because they try to convince us. They try to spin a narrative and tell us, oh, no, you don't know what you're watching. It was a chess match. Virgil banked rounds 9 through 12. I agree. That's how I scored it. But look, man, we're talking about stardom. We're talking about boxing. And you got to sell fights. As far as rankings and because as you know, in news, the box rec doesn't recognize the WBA anymore. So, with Turkey Ali and him trying to create this quasi boxing league, and now BoxRec, I believe, I thought I read they have a deal with Turkey Ali and creating this new league. The WBC has already connected with Turkey Ali to create this league, and with them having a beef with BoxRec, the WBA, excuse me, guys, with the WBA being no longer recognized by BoxRec, this is a big move. This is a big political shift in boxing, and it's something nobody has really been talking about. You know what I'm saying? So in boxing, you need to have stars. That's how the sport survives. That's how it keeps going. And it was not a robbery. Yeah. And I showed the social media, the people ringside, the reporters, the critics, and everybody said, before they talked about who won or who lost, they talked about what a fight. Turkey is trying to erase the history and yeah, it's already started. It's already started with the BoxRec not recognizing the WBA. All of a sudden, it just happened. But I mean, I talked about this and I heard about that. Now like flags in stadium. Yeah, man, a lot of things are going on. Look, yeah, did he get dropped, but he bounced back. That's how I know you're a hater, because you want to focus on things that Virgil don't give nobody no credit. You know what I'm saying? Imagine what Boots would do to Boots needs a tough fight himself. Virgil's star. Virgil no longer needs anybody else. Virgil can sail on his own off that one fight alone. This Lanello James girl we just live in here. Exactly, man. Lanello James is a man is a man amongst men. You know what I'm saying? He stands alone. He controls boxing. So, Turkey Ali is really making power moves. But at the end of the day, man, all those things don't matter unless you have stars, and those stars making good fights. Nobody's clamoring for Madrimov again. They've seen him stare at another guy. He could have won. He would have been #1 pound for pound. Imagine that. You have a chance to beat the #1 fighter. You're never get this chance again, and you just stand there and stare at him. Why they let that guy come take over? But well, he's not. You know, the last man standing is Canelo Alvarez. He hasn't took over yet. If Canelo to retire tomorrow, maybe he does. But I don't want to focus on that too much. And look, Turkey Ali, Tony Boggs. Oh wow, salute Frankie. Okay, I don't have a problem. Look, if we get Bud Crawford and Vergil Ortiz, and on the undercard, Shakira and Zepeda, I'm happy with that. That is a hell of a fight. That's a hell of a pay-per-view. That's something that I would pay for. Man, I hope Virgil goes after it. I hope he doesn't wait for Spence Pandora. I don't know why they said that. You know, and salute Robert Garcia. You know, Robert Garcia, you know, maybe he probably becomes trainer of the year. What a job, man. You got El Royo, and then you have Vergil Ortiz switching his game up. So as for the fight itself, you know, we were used to Virgil coming out, 21-0, 21 knockouts. I mean, he was like 100% knockout ratio. Bohachuk had only had one fight not go the distance. I don't know. I believe it was the fight that he actually got knocked out before. But I mean, both guys over 90% knockout ratio. You have two guys with 90% going at it. Okay, they were slugging from the opening bell. But one Vergil Ortiz, the fight is his ability to box, showing another wrinkle in the game. You know, jabbing, moving, dipping, slipping. You know, he was doing a lot of slick things. You know, and what about the grit? You know, what about getting knocked down? And I'm gonna call them slips. They rule it a knockdown. I'm not mad at it. I mean, I thought it was how do you say? I didn't think it was fair, but it is what it is. I mean, you could argue it was a knockdown. You could argue it wasn't a knockdown, but it happened, and he bounced back. He showed a lot of grit, fought his ass off, fought his heart out, and became a star. Yeah, of course he got flaws, man. He has a ton of flaws, but that doesn't matter. Does that mean he can't beat Bud Crawford? I think he has a great chance to beat Bud Crawford. We're talking about an older fighter who doesn't want to let his hands go versus a young, hungry, strong fighter. This is what we're talking about. This is Vergil Ortiz time. And if he loses, does he lose anything? No, I don't think he loses anything. He's still a star in his own right. You know, Jaime Munguia just lost, and Jaime Munguia is going to be right back on our television in a headliner. People want to see Jaime Munguia again. People appreciated what he did against Canelo Alvarez. So hit the like. I'm going to drop the link if anybody doesn't like what I have to say. If they disagree with what I have to say. If you felt it was a robbery. So who thought it was a robbery? Did anybody think it was a robbery? Or did more people feel that it could have went either way? Munguia is a star. Yes, Munguia is a star. I don't know why you don't think he is. Isn't Aladdin gonna start training with Bomac? Yeah, look, man. Turkey Ali came in a knight in shining armor, right? He was gonna make the best fights. He was gonna, put on for the fans. And now he's looking like a promoter. Now he's telling Oscar what to do. He's telling Shakur what to do. It's like he wants to control boxing. He doesn't want to help boxing. He wants to help it by controlling it. What are the numbers to prove he had one pay-per-view fight? Well, that's a good counter. Just his popularity, that he's trending, that people want to watch him, that he's headlining fights. You mistake how hard it is to get to the status of what Jaime Munguia is. It's not easy to get a Canelo fight. It's not easy to be headlined. You have to, normally you have to become a champion. Jaime Munguia has been fighting on headliners his whole career. And it's because he's an exciting fighter. People want to see him. He's trending. He got a Canelo Alvarez fight. You know who he is. People want to see him fight. So, you know what, man? Like I said, man, look, man, in boxing, what I noticed, there's just a lot of hater energy, and I don't get it. I get accused of hater energy. Do I hate Bud Crawford? Do I hate Stan Davis? No. My hate, if I was hating, I wouldn't talk about him. I wouldn't even give him the time of day. I can give fighters the credit, but I also do compare and contrast. I can say Stan Davis, he still has not unified in his division. He's been out 3 or 4 years. And Bud Crawford, he fights once a year. I give you the reasons and the stats and the numbers, and they don't lie. Nobody apart from us, however, knew he was fighting soon. Well, that's not true, man. Jaime Munguia has a built-in fan base. He does. People tune in to watch him fight. You forget that these guys have, other fan bases. Like Puerto Ricans, when they fight, they have a whole country. Now, I mean, not the whole country, but they have a built-in fan base of a few 100,000 fans. If they're from, you've seen that guy Bacoli, right? You would say, perfect example. I'm glad the haters test me and challenge me. Bacoli, stop Jared Anderson. Now, if I said Bacoli's a star, you would say he's not a star, he's a hater. And if you look on social media, he got like a hero's welcome, like beating a guy on the undercard. But that's, what I'm saying? He has a built-in fan base now. He has numbers. He can fight and sell out a stadium in his hometown. That's what a star is. See, we're so used to, I heard, so State Davis is a superstar because he's on pay-per-view. David Haney's a star because he's on pay-per-view. But it don't mean anything if they're not selling out the venues, if they're not selling, a few 100,000 pay-per-views. I even hear that against Tank Davis. He's not a star because he only sells, thank you, BDA, salute. Good show, man. Good show. Good breakdowns today. Tank Davis is a star at boxing. Now, I guess you could say he's an improved superstar if he has the right opponent. Like Lomachenko. Lomachenko is a star, and you'll say, well, nobody knows who Lomachenko is, but that's a lie. People, when he fought Haney, they sold 200,000, which shows he's a star in terms of boxing. So Munguia's a star, but I just said, see, you guys try to entrap me. I said Tank Davis is a star. Bird's a superstar. You could even, he's on the toe because Tank Davis, if he was a true superstar, could sell over 500,000 on his own. But he needs the right opponent to be a superstar. Ryan Garcia is a superstar. I said, I don't know why you have a problem. Virgil is a star. Okay, Bird, people want to see him fight now. Even if he lost, even if you think he lost, he's a star. There's been stars that were not the greatest fighters. I mentioned these four: Arturo Gatti, Ricardo Mayorga. Vergil Ortiz reminds me of a fighter I used to like, Fernando Vargas. Definitely flawed, but he left it all in the ring, and everywhere that guy goes, people show him mad love. Even he got his ass whipped by a few times. He lost to great fighters. Vergil Ortiz is Fernando Vargas probably 2.0. Definitely flawed, but people like the way you fight. They don't have to believe you're number one pound for pound. They don't believe you have to have most skills. Okay? You're going to be talking to 50 other incels talking about who's most skills, who's slicker, and nobody gives a shit. That's the truth. People give a shit about guys who leave it all in the ring. I said it before and I'll say it again. People give a shit about guys who leave it all in the ring. And like I said, the people that spoken, critics, pundits, fans alike. Okay, Steve Kim, it was close. It could have gone either way. No issue. Let me bring that comment down. They may have been the right fight of the year with an absolute grinding fair, half off the boat, man, just a flat out war. The people have spoken, man. The people have spoken, and it's not even just you, not you haters. I know Virgil's getting a lot of love with us, but trust me, man, you can go around, you can look. Dougie Fisher, sensational fight. Dan Raphael, even loved the fight. He's a known hater. Lou DiBella, former head of Showtime. What a fucking fight. Bro, the people are speaking. And they love Vergil Ortiz. Flawed and all. I don't understand why it's even pointed out about flawed. The numbers don't pursue boring fighter, but his number taken sales more successful than Vergil Ortiz. Well, he was in his hometown. But I guarantee you, if Virgil fights Bud Crawford, if he fights Earl Spence, it's a sellout. It's Mexican-American versus African-American. Good numbers. Everybody's going to be talking about it. And it's also the opponent. Opponents matter also. Earl Spence needs an opponent. Earl Spence's biggest fight was Mikey Garcia, targeting the Latino demographic. A lot of you guys like Jay, you don't want to recognize that. Frank Berry's going to tell you. Frank Gates gonna tell you what it is. ATC Hunter, thank you, salute 2.0. It's sad about Bernardo. Yeah, you know what, man? Bernardo had a great run. He could bounce back, but his style was always susceptible to getting flattened. It was a hell of a fight, though. Angela Leo, heavy underdog, brought the dog out. But you know what, man? Look, man, we gotta recognize that, man. It doesn't matter. People want to see you again. That's what matters. What really matters in the sport of boxing is that you give it your all, man. Like Bohachuk, I want to see him again. I think he probably beats Boots Ennis. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he beats Boots Ennis. He gives him a tough fight. Why? Because I don't know. We haven't seen Boots Ennis in a tough fight. He's fighting can after can. Look, if this guy wants to become a star, he needs to jump up right now. Forget fighting for trinkets that nobody cares about. Go fight Bohachuk. Go beat his ass and make your name. Go do that now. Forget about fighting. Who are you gonna fight? Brian Norman that nobody cares about? Like, what are we talking about, man? Your goal in boxing, if you're a fighter, should have become a star. That's what you need to do. You need to become a ticket seller and to become a star, become an attraction, get people talking about you. And how do you do that? You do it with your fights. That's how you do it. People need to want to see you again. They need to want to see you. You know, when they watch you, they need to say, hey, man, I can't wait till that guy fights again. That's what your main objective is to be. You know, I hear after Shakur Stevenson fights, you know, we just seen Shakti Foster crying, and they're crying, they're whining, they're bitching. How come nobody likes me? How come nobody likes my fights? Because we don't see it. I've never liked Shakir because I've seen what he was. I seen he didn't give it his all. I seen that he was just kind of like, he was okay with just, you know, winning. Like, yes. Your goal as an athlete should be to win, okay? But if you want to make money, if you want to get fans, you need to excite. You need to entertain. That is the name of the game, man. It's all entertainment. People want to be entertained. They're not watching to see you win. They're watching to be entertained. They're not leaving saying, oh, he won. They're leaving saying, oh, man, you know what? They're telling their friends, yeah, I just had a great time at the fights. I mean, these guys were slugging it out. We were on TV. There were people getting knocked out at the stadium. What a hell of a night. You know, even last week, I mean, all you heard on social media was people complaining about how long the event was, and people shitted on the Eminem concert. You know, the only fight they talked about was Bukolde and Anderson because it was a thrilling fight. A guy got knocked out. That's what people want to see. Yeah, Ryo won. Yeah, but I mean, you know, he didn't necessarily go out to entertain and thrill. Now, if he'd have stood and traded with Pitbull and knocked him out and put a stamp on it, then maybe he becomes a star in his own right. It would be fair, man. I mean, look, man, you gotta win, right? You gotta win. At the end of the day, yes, you gotta win. But what does it matter? Does it, you know, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's there to hear it? Does it make a sound? You know what I'm saying? El Pachuco, as usual, excellent body work, doesn't get credit. Yep. Yeah, and from the first round, you seen the redness. I seen him gasping for air. You hear Dave Rosado talk about his wobbly legs in like the 8th, 9th, 10th round. I mean, he was getting rocked. He was getting stumbled. Now, I'm not going to cap for Virgil, and I'm going to go on and Virgil dominated. See, you'll never hear Frank Bay tell you lies just to prove a point. I'm going to tell you what I seen. I seen Virgil get touched up. I seen his face get marked up, but I never felt he was hurt. I seen him stunned, but even when he was top right hand, you know, you've seen him go, you know, that the machismo, the bravado, you know, like, come on, let's go, fucker. Like when Ryan Garcia got hit by Haney with a good shot, he was like, come on, fucker. Like, you know, you see guys sometimes, you know, like the guy used to do that as Ricardo Mayorga. Ricardo Mayorga used to let guys hit him and he'd be like, come on, fucker, hit me harder. You know what I'm saying? Like that crazy, wild, just maniac energy, man. I've seen a little bit of that from Virgil. But in no sense was he like ever hurt, wobbled, stunned, maybe stunned because Bohachuk was landing clean, sharp right hands. But what I seen is Bohachuk like shell up and get hurt to the body. Virgil was landing uppercuts, and you know, even Gabe Rosado was saying it. Gabe Rosado was actually the one that was saying it. And then I would see it and notice it that Gabe Rosado, maybe he was capping. I don't know. Maybe you thought he was full of shit. But there was at least 3 or 4 occasions where Gabe Rosado
had acknowledged on his perch on ringside that Bohachuk was in fact hurt. Now, and he was fair though, because he did acknowledge that yeah, Ortiz got caught with some good hellacious right hands. But guts and glory, does this version of Virgil defeat Crawford? Look, I think he's an underdog. I think Crawford has to be the favorite, you know, but look, man, the age, what we've seen, he doesn't want to let his hands go. Javier Avila, the eyes don't lie. I see it at the gym all the time. Some get hit and want to return the favor. Others get hit and move. Yeah, excellent point, bro. You said it better than I could have. Jermell Cheller comeback fight should be Bohachuk great. Yeah, wow. I'm glad you said it, man. That's why I do it, man. You guys give me a lot of ideas. Wow, that was Borzoi. Welcome. Thank you. Hit the like. Madrimov versus Tim Tszyu. Yeah, look, man. 154 is deep as fuck. It is a deep division. You just seen Conwell last night with a sensational body shot, even though he's fighting a can. I have Virgil beating Bud still. You still got Pandora. You got Spence. You got Bohachuk. You got Madrimov. I mean, we might be talking about a golden era, the deepest division in boxing. You know, at 154, you used to have Felix Trinidad, Fernando Vargas, Winky Wright, Oscar De La Hoya. Shit, man. Who else was at 154? Sergio Martinez, Paul Williams. I mean, there's been 154 is always a golden era because it's 147ers in between 147 and 160. So you got a lot of 147s moving to 154 before they go to middleweight. Or you got actual middleweights that are shrinking down to fight that 154. So 150, and you got Jesus Ramos, Eric Lubin. I mean, man, there's at least 2 great years, 3 solid years, and maybe 4 years. This division is gonna take about 3 years to get the dust to settle. And look, man, you know when I was mentioning Vergil Ortiz, is he gonna lose? Is he gonna get beat? He may well. You know, Shane Mosley used to be at 154. All these guys, Mosley, Vargas, Trinidad, 154s, they all had losses because at that height, that weight, you know, at 154, you're fighting smaller, quicker, faster guys. Yo, Frankie, salute Sergeant, thank you. 147, if they move it to 154, they may be, you know, have the speed and the size like Sergio Martinez, Antonio Margarito, 154. Manny Pacquiao, 154 is probably maybe the best division in boxing. 135 and 154, the cleaner divisions. You know, 147 is always going to be the golden division because you had Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Robinson. 147 welterweight is the most historic, famous tradition, you know, weight. 154 is actually a newer weight, right? Okay. 135, 147, and middleweight, right? What they call the glamour divisions. But 154, you got to imagine you have smaller, bigger guys like Paul Williams, eventually Sergio Martinez, they all go up to 160, right? Winky Wright, fighting at 162. A lot of these welterweights, they're really big welterweights, and they can go to 154 and be comfortable there. And then when they go to middleweight, they're actually smaller, right? And then welterweights, they may be move up to 154 to challenge themselves. Floyd Mayweather went up to 154, right? So 154, man. Jesus Ramos, Eric Lubin, Tim Tszyu. There's probably Xander Zayas is there. You got really young guys like Xander Zayas. I mean, man, 154 is a bloodhound division, man. None of these guys are getting. Jamel Charlo's still there. Somebody just said it. None of these guys are getting through that division unscathed. Okay, Vergil Ortiz, he may be like a Fernando Vargas. He may be of that ilk. He might take a loss or two, but he's going to give great fights. And I said this before, Bud Crawford, you know, he may be number 1 now, but I mean, how much does he have left? Can he get through Vergil Ortiz, Tim Tszyu, Pandora, guys like Jesus Ramos, now Cromwell? I mean, I just listed 5 guys. Can he get through all those guys? Look, man, Bud Crawford's at the end of his career. Wake up, guys. He's at the end. If we think Canelo's at the end, Bud Crawford is on the last lap. Right? This is literally the last dance for Bud Crawford. He's not going to go through all these guys. He's going to pick one last guy, maybe Tim Tszyu, maybe Vergil Ortiz, you know, to cement his legacy. But there's no way he goes through all these guys. I mean, he's already too old. He's already won a belt. You know, he probably should rematch Majimov. There's still Bohachuk there. I mean, bro, that's literally like 8, 9, 10 guys that just listed at 154. None of these guys are gonna be able to beat everybody. This is the blast from the past. This is Winky Wright, Trinidad, De La Hoya, Ike Cortez, Fernando Vargas, all these guys fighting each other, all these guys giving great fights, all these guys beating each other. Shane Mosley, Paul Williams, Antonio Margarito, all 154 guys. This is the era, man, and it's back. And salute. And hopefully Turki Ali can give us these fights. Now, and the other thing, man, you know, these fights take a lifetime out of you. Vergil Ortiz may never be the same. You know, Bohachuk may never be the same. Now, I'm gonna say this: Bohachuk could easily come back and beat Vergil Ortiz. He could come back and put a stamp on it, beat Vergil Ortiz, and then there will be no need for a trilogy. They may be able to rematch later on. Turki gonna pick and choose for his Ken Crawford. Yeah, it seems to be that's his favorite. He's trying to make these fights, but I have to doubt. I'm gonna doubt Bud Crawford. I don't even look, man. People are making it as if Bud Crawford wants these fights. I haven't heard him say Vergil Ortiz's name. Even when he was at 147, he never mentioned Vergil Ortiz. He never mentioned Boots Ennis, and that's another name. Boots Ennis, they call this guy the next. And look, when you see a stacked division, you're crying about you can't make fights. We know you're like this, not. We know you're a weight bully. You're crying about I can't get fights. Yeah, Barrios, Norman, Stanionis. You're not fighting. You just fought David Avanesian. You know what you need to do? You need to just go to 154 and fight. You could fight Bohachuk probably by the end of the year and say, you know what? I'm chasing Bud Crawford. I'm chasing Vergil Ortiz. You know, I'm trying to get the big money fights. I'm gonna just, you know, this division is lackluster. Spence is up there, Pandora, Tim Tszyu. I'm gonna go get it. Oh no, you know what? I'm gonna stay here and pick on cans, and I'm a weight bully and kill myself. I'm gonna do a Devin Haney-ish and try to get a fraudulent undisputed. That's what that guy looks like he's doing, because the move to make is 154. All right, you got 135 and 154. It looks like 126 is stacked. We just seen El Divino. He's at 126. We just seen Leo last night. Angelo Leo. Still got Bernardo. All right, Turki feeling that head. He isn't wearing a rope anymore. Yeah, look, man. Turki Ali has inserted himself as a czar, right? It looks like he's not a fan, but about to get smoked. I hope so. Look, man. I mean, look, Virgil could easily go in there and get slept. Yeah, but I want to see it. I don't care about all these. Oh, he's not ready. He has flaws. Absolutely, man. Shane Mosley went up to 154, got beat. Oscar De La Hoya went up to 154, got beat. You know, Felix Trinidad, he went up to 154, and he was dominant. Went to 160, got stopped. You know, everybody has limits. 154 may be Bud Crawford's limits, because it's not about just going up and beating one guy. You know, people want to see Bud Crawford go 3-time undisputed. That would be unprecedented. But, what, you know, I'm not doubting him. I have Rafael Espinoza beating Angelo Lea. Yeah, I think he's the top dog in that division, but all great fights. You know, and that's the thing about boxing. Nobody's clamoring for them to go undisputed, for them to unify. You know what I'm saying? It's only when you have these names, Bud Crawford, you know, when you have Tank Davis, when you have Ryan Garcia, you know, the next Canelo Alvarez, they expect those guys. But when it comes to other fighters, you know, nobody really cares. And that's what I'm saying. Vergil Ortiz is a star now. Bernardo beats Leo in the rematch. You know, Bernardo has a lot of work to do, man. After a knockout, you're off 6 months. So we won't see him for 6 months. You know, and like Sebastian Vendora and Tim Tszyu, minimum 6 months to be out. They get suspended. I wouldn't doubt if, you know, that's the other thing. I wouldn't doubt if we don't see Vergil Ortiz for 6 months, because he may get a medical suspension. Same with Bohachuk. You know, it's not back in the day, man, where guys are fighting, you know, every 3 weeks, or they're fighting 5 times in a month, because these fights are brutal, bro. And these commissions are being more careful, and they're giving guys suspensions. Like I know Devin Haney, I think he got a hey, 6 month suspension, or if you go on box rec, after you get knocked out, you receive a suspension. I remember it used to be 90 days for sure, but I've also started seeing like 6 month suspension, or maybe it's 6 months and then you have to get cleared. But for sure, 90 days off top or after if you get knocked out. I was hurt when he got slipped, but yeah, take at least 8 months off, and not even just 8 months, but you may need a tune-up, man. Frank Bay is African from the waist down, right? The myth. Look, man, you can think whatever I want. I accept Buck Crawford was still running away from Boots. Yeah, maybe. You know what? But Boots Ennis, man, he needs to do what Virgil does and become a star. Now, if Boots Ennis has a fight like that, then he becomes a star. And in boxing, that's what matters, man. What matters in boxing is not the wins, not the losses. It's let me put somebody looks like they want to be on. Hopefully it's not a troll. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm looking to add somebody. Let's see if what they have to say. Yes, salute. Cuerpo, what's up? Okay. Did you want to speak, man? You gotta speak, you gotta say something. I'm gonna boot you. Anyway, I don't know. Sorry about that. But yes, what matters is star power, man. Star power is what gets you the fights, what sells the fights. And right now, Vergil Ortiz is a star, man. People want to see him fight. And that's what it means to be a star. It's not about how good you are. It's about if people want to see you fight. And it wasn't a Black American that would have been worse. Wait, I must admit, Jose Venezuela versus Keith Sims should be next. That guy, Kenneth Sims, he did not impress me. He did not look to be all that. El Cuerpo, you got to say something, man. I'm going to have to boot you. True Mexican boxing. Yeah, Valenzuela. Yo, what's up? Hello.
Okay, yeah, no, because I clicked on the beta option to use an external mic. It was like the first. Can you hear any feedback? Because I'm using headphones, but then I hear it off my phone.
Nah, brother, you're good. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so I'm just gonna mute the audio then from the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just chimed in. I heard about like a minute of audio from you about like 5 minutes ago, and I don't really know what your debate or your stance is, but I was actually very impressed with this fight between Virgil and Bohachuk. I thought it was a great fight. I actually had it 114 to 112, and I know people are comparing this to I can see why fans are using theory about this whole Turkey guy, or they're saying that Bohachuk or Vergil Ortiz are not ready for Crawford or even Madrimov, but people don't realize that the amount of firepower that Crawford and Madrimov even threw, like their whole 12 rounds that they fought was probably the same amount of punch stats that Virgil and Bohachuk did in just 4 or 5 rounds. So a lot of fans don't understand that the more exertion you do in fighting or boxing, whatever you want to call it, there's obviously going to be more stamina issues. So, for example, people are saying that Vergil Ortiz or Bohachuk wouldn't stand a chance against Madrimov or Crawford, but as we all know, that the fight between Crawford and Madrimov was a little stale, man. Not a lot of guys were really throwing risky shots. So when you compare those two things together, it's not really a fair comparison. And I think that Virgil tried his best as far as take more risks because supposedly, well, not supposedly, but Turkey was at the event. So who knows? Maybe there was a lot of pressure given to Virgil to, go for the knockout. I had actually predicted in my earlier videos that Virgil would win by a split decision, and of course it was a majority decision. But I wasn't upset with the cards, man. I thought the cards were actually really good. I thought the judges did a pretty good job, and of course you have a lot of fans that are trying to, shoot noise off the Crawford and Madrimov bout, but I think this was a win for boxing in general. I don't know. I don't see why people are even complaining or questioning Vergil Ortiz's or even Bohachuk's performance. They're definitely top 5 guys at 154, and I think maybe. By the way, what is this? Frank Bay. Yeah. By the way, I think maybe there's fans that are probably worried that Vergil Ortiz or Bohachuk could probably do better cheer forward because their performance is really good. Virgil Ortiz was really light on his feet. I really liked his footwork defensively. This is the most defensive lateral move that I've ever seen from Virgil. I thought Bohachuk had amazing uppercut techniques in this bout. I thought both guys really showed pretty good chins. They had poker faces when they were hurt. I would say Bohachuk probably got hurt twice in this fight, significantly, but he's got a really good poker face. And man, these guys went the full 12 rounds. Again, this is not even comparable to Crawford or Madrimov. I thought they did a lot better. If just for the fans, it just the strength and conditioning from both guys are really, really good. So I was really happy for this bout, and I don't see why a lot of fans should complain or have any sort of insecurity. I don't know if you agree with that, but I was impressed. I like this. I'm curious who Virgil's going to fight next. So that's what I have on that.
Oh man, there's nothing I don't think I disagree with. I think you pretty much uh, just said what I was ranting about. Because you mentioned something very interesting. You don't understand why people are upset. So it says I think you have a channel. Uh, you could shout out your channel, and you said you make videos. But so I'm assuming you're making the rounds of social media, Twitter, YouTube, and you're seeing a lot of whiny bitches.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I agree with you. I know exactly what you mean. And I can see, like, for example, from your stance or even other stance. Like, for example, I was trying to chat on some other panels earlier today from some of the random. Yeah, I'm trying to grow my channel too. But people get very, very, like, sensitive if you mention anything
Hmm.
positive about this fight, or if you ask them questions about the comparison between, like, Madrimov or Crawford, a lot of fans are getting very sensitive, and I don't understand it because all this is very it's just a big win for boxing in general. Like if you won 154 to get heated up, this was a good performance. A showing from both Vergil Ortiz and Bohachuk. I thought Bohachuk did a really, really good job, man, just trying to go with the full 12 rounds. And one thing I didn't agree with Tom Loeffler, because I know Tom Loeffler was saying that this was kind of like the Golovkin versus Canelo one type of cards. It was not even that. It wasn't that at all. I thought the judges actually had it really good. I don't even mind it being a draw because that would have inspired a rematch. It gets both more rounds for both guys in. But as you probably saw, both guys went toe to toe. I mean, this was actually like this was like a Morales and Barrera type of fight. Like rarely do we see a fight like this at 154. Like this is the type of fight I would have liked to have seen Canelo and Munguia do. Just the type of firepower they were throwing at each other. But of course, we know styles make fights, and all fighters are different. But I thought I was very impressed from both guys, man. To be honest, I think these are the top five contenders at 154. So we shall see, man. But I'm impressed. I'm more of an optimist here for Virgil and Bohachuk. I think there might be a little bit of theory that people are worried for Madrimov and Crawford because today I was thinking that Bohachuk, I think he's more adverse. He's more difficult than anybody on Madrimov's resume. What was that one guy that Madrimov fought from Canada? He fought him twice. There was like one draw and then he won by stoppage. But Bohachuk's the real deal, as you saw when he beat up Mendoza, because Mendoza's a true great fighter, man. That dude can really go, he can bite deep, and as he did with Tim Tszyu.
Hmm.
And then Crawford needs no introduction. Crawford is an amazing fighter. People are saying maybe 160 or 168 might be too much. I don't know. I mean, guys have to acclimate at the weight. But I'm just, I don't know. I think there's a little bit of theory that people are worried about Vergil Ortiz and Bohachuk at 154. And you know why? Because they performed really good last night, man. They threw a lot of heavy leather, and that's what we want as boxing fans. And I'm just gonna say this one thing before I forget this whole Turkey Al Sheikh thing, because I'm not really big a fan of Turkey Al Sheikh, and this goes months prior because I have my opinions on the Middle East and Saudi Arabian sports washing. That really has nothing to do with boxing in general, but I thought it was kind of stupid from that Turkey guy that's saying that Canelo is starting drama. He literally said the word starting, and we're boxing fans first and foremost. I don't know if you follow other stuff. I don't follow UFC, but if someone's trying to
Nah.
bring boxing big to the United States or in the Western world, You don't publicize statements of saying, "Oh, well, the UFC is going to destroy boxing," or the September 14th date, because I can see why a lot of Canelo fans or Mexican fans or Mexican American fans might be offended by something like that. And then second, he says that Canelo Alvarez should quote be smart. He literally said the word smart, like take it or leave it. And I'm actually glad that a lot of fans and a lot of big channels are noticing those type of inconsistencies or discrepancies, and you can see that's why politics is a big role. Because my theory is that I don't think Turkey really follows boxing the way many boxing fans think they do. Maybe he knows more about football and the racing, but it becomes kind of dark, man. Because I ask other people like Kevin Eol what they think, and they don't really say much about it. I understand why, because those things are kind of sensitive to talk about, but. Turkey the Sheik, man. Those more his funds are unlimited, man. So he can throw as much money as he can, whatever event. But he does not following, and I think he's just using Bud Crawford. To be honest, I think he's just using Crawford for their own gain. But whatever, if he wants to bring better fights, then I'm down for that. But I just think I'm not really cool with the Turkey yet. But I'm giving him benefit of doubt that maybe he does want to reform stuff in his government. And if he wants to bring more stuff for the boxing fans, let's see what he does in America in the next 2 years. So you can go, man. I'm sorry, bro.
Oh no, no, you're making a lot of good points. Just a lot to unpack. So yeah, actually, what you were saying about how you noticed a lot of people are very sensitive or upset about this Vergil Ortiz and Bohachuk fight, and you're befuddled because, like you said, and that's actually what I was ranting about the whole hour. And what I noticed also is that it was a great fight. It showed that all these pundits, Twitter critics, people that were at the fight, they all said, "Oh, fight of the year, a great fight." Does Virgil have flaws? Of course, but I mentioned a fighter. I don't know if you remember a fighter by the name of Fernando Vargas.
Say that again, bro.
Do you remember a fighter by the name of Fernando Vargas?
You said Marius Bridas?
No, Fernando Vargas.
Fernando Vargas. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fought De La Hoya and he fought Trinidad, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, youngest 154 champion ever, silver medalist at the Olympics, and sold a ton of pay-per-views. But he was a very flawed fighter, but he made for great fights. And to me, that's what matters the most, man, is that, I want, like you said, I want to see leather exchanged. And these guys left it all in the ring. And watching Virgil, watching Madrimov and Crawford, they said it was a high-level chess match, but people were booing. And I think you're right. To me, it seems like people are afraid for these guys think Terrence Crawford walks on water. And it's almost like they're afraid. They don't want him to fight anybody.
Yeah, I think, you probably know at least some scenarios. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are now seeing after the Virgil versus Bohachuk performance, seeing how much firepower they threw. Isn't it kind of awkward how much the punch stats from last night compared to Crawford and Madrimov? That's pretty apparent, right? I've been doing boxing myself for years, and most guys will attest, the more exertion, the more you do physically in anything, that's going to wear you out. So that's why I'm saying going 12 rounds with the type of fight that they did that's something that's badass. That's what we love about boxing. That's more old school. It's literally old school. And Crawford and Madrimov were, Crawford did a good fight against Madrimov, but I think they just didn't take a lot of risks, right? There was always resetting, and it just wasn't. I don't know. That's all subjective.
No, it's okay. Certain things are subjective as far as like how you score a fight or who you think is winning. But somebody can't tell me that I'm supposed to appreciate that high level chess match and Crawford was doing a lot more when you just said it yourself. You had two guys that were slugging it out, but it was high level. It wasn't sloppy backyard room boxing. We're talking about two high level performing athletes, and like you said, the exertion, the amount of punches, the power, the speed on the punches. You can hear the thud. Vergil Ortiz body attack. Do you really think a Bud Crawford can handle a body attack like that? At this age, the way he looked, he didn't want to let his hands go. You said it. People want to tell you what you didn't see. That's what a lot of you two, you're going to see Twitter. So a lot of these guys are going to try to tell you what you didn't see. You hear Shakur Stevenson and Tim Bradley tell you all these things that you didn't see because you don't know. But I know what I've seen, and I see Vergil Ortiz, like you said, with the firepower, with the meanness, with the cruel, bad intentions. It's old school.
Yeah, and actually, I became a big fan of Bohachuk last night. Actually, too. I mean, I got to give that Ukrainian a lot of credit because he knew what was at stake too, right? Because he knows what's going on with the politics with the Saudi Arabian money. So he's gonna go out there and do his best performance ever, and that's what he gave Virgil a lot of problems with his effective aggression, that pressure. Because that's what I loved about this fight is that both guys were taking each other to the ropes. I was like, wow, this is a real it was literally a fight, because sometimes we talk about pure boxing and or quote the sweet science,
Right.
but the honest truth is that Crawford and Madrimov didn't really take risks. Yeah, they're brilliant fighters, but I guess the context is people want to compare this performance to Crawford and Madrimov, and it's not a I want to say realistic or fair comparison because yeah, man, fighting's a whole different thing, and to see a Ukrainian fighter of that style, I think he went out of his comfort zone. Well, actually, he did the same thing with Mendoza, but it's something unique to see from a Ukrainian fighter that's putting all on the line for his country. So it was a really, really good fight. And I guess what I'm saying is compare that performance to like Madrimov's performance, or compare Virgil's performance to Crawford. So people know what's up. They are, I guess, hating in general. They knew this was a really good fight, and it was only a big plus for boxing. With Bohachuk and Ortiz. So I think it was fair too. 114, 112 was perfect. That's what I had. And again,
I
I had
think that
stated that it
too.
was going to be a split decision for Virgil. And I'm just happy that I was right on that. So,
Yeah, it's always good to be right. Um, with Madrimov gave that fucking fight away. It was his to win. Bud Crawford was never going to change gears. The only thing someone brought to mind is, I don't know if you know who BDA is, follow BDA, but I was talking about it with him, and he said, Bud Crawford did go to knock out. He was told in his corner, you need to go knock this guy out. So they knew it was close. So all these bullshit fans or these sensitive motherfuckers you're talking about, he dominated. They're full of shit because his corner told him go knock him out. And I was reminded that Bud Crawford did try to go knock out Madrimov, but Madrimov gave that fucking fight away. Now, when we met, was it the lack of fights? Because he only had 11 fights. Was it Bud Crawford was that good, or Madrimov just really lacked the experience? I'm gonna say it was Madrimov and the lack of experience. It wasn't so much what Bud Crawford did.
yeah, I mean, I agree. It's probably, they didn't want to make mistakes. And I mean, just the punch stats are totally different than that of this versus the Bochek and Ortiz. But I want to go back a little bit on just the styles. I mean, they're also downplaying the Ortiz versus Bochek, saying that Virgil doesn't have any good ring IQ, and like some fans have no idea what they're talking about, or saying the same thing about Bochek, saying, "Oh, Madrimov would steamroll against Bochek,
Well,
or steamroll through Virgil."
you don't have to say names, but just curious, like who is saying this? Because I know what you're saying, but I'm wondering if we're seeing the same things. Like who's saying this shit? Like you have to be. I don't want to say stupid because these people, I mean, obviously they follow boxing, but like, who's saying these things that they didn't have ring IQ or something like that?
Yeah, I mean it's normal, bro. I mean, you know how it is with them. It's obviously an American thing. There's a big divide between cultures. You have the quote the black style, and I guess the quote the Mexican style, or the Mexican American style, or even like the what they call the Eurobump style. So obviously these things probably project a sense of
Okay,
insecurity because right now
right.
Crawford just entered 154, and now Virgil just made a second appearance at 154, and we know Bohachuk's a way better fighter than Dulorme. Dulorme had no reason to be at 154. It's always been a 147, probably a big 140, or I should say small 147. Uh, but people know what's up. I mean, these same fans, they've been fan of of classic greats from the heavyweights or even middleweights, so they know what they're seeing. And I mean, Virgil or Bohachuk could probably be a threat to even Madrimov or Crawford because they're still in the mix, right? They're all in the mix. And as a matter of fact, today I'm actually picking Virgil because I'm a big Tim Tszyu fan. I'll be honest, I'm a big
Yeah.
I'm a big Tim Tszyu fan. I think Virgil could actually give Tim Tszyu a lot of problems. I'm not going to predict just yet about stoppages from either guy, but I can see Virgil giving a lot of problems from anybody because when he's hurt or when he's poker faced hurt, he tries and goes for the kill, regardless if guys are swinging and missing. A lot of fighters don't have that. I should say a lot of boxers don't have that fighting mentality into them. So that's one thing I'm impressed with Virgil is that he'll go out on his shield, and I guess for Bohachuk as well. So like I said, man, I think it was a win for boxing, and I think as long as we're like positive and, or I should say, no, transparent about technique, a lot of the other channels or panels that they're trying to make a negative point of views on towards these fighters, it doesn't make a difference, man, because if you know what you're watching, you're gonna get it right.
I'm glad you said that because that's basically how I opened up this show that I'm doing. That's why I wanted to do it today because I'm seeing what you're seeing. Virgil Bud's not ready. I mean, Virgil's not ready. And he has all these flaws, and yeah, I do see it. But I think you're making great points that Virgil's doing a lot of things that are high ring IQ. You know, the slipping, the head movement. You know, establishing a jab. He's working with Robert Garcia. We seen El Rayo do similar to Pitbull. And you're looking at Bud Crawford, and if he looked like he slipped, did you see any signs of slippage from Crawford?
No, I think they were just it was just a safe fight. Remember, I'm like literally talking about fighting because fighting and I guess pure fundamental safety boxing. I don't know how you would term it, but um, like even in this fight, yeah, sure, both guys made mistakes. Like Bohachuk, I think his secret weapon in this fight was that uppercut down the middle when they're going toe to toe, and Virgil just wasn't expecting that. I love to see that from Bohachuk, just taking risks on that. But remember that Ortiz and Bohachuk, more was on the line for them politically too, because they know Turkey was there, so they're gonna do more as far as risk taking, right? Think about that. So
Right.
Crawford and Madrimov, it's the first U.S. Event, right, under the Riyadh season thing. And so what do? They fight safety. They don't really take a risk. So it's not even a fair comparison for anybody to criticize Virgil or Boychuk to call them
Thank
like
you.
low
Yes.
level. Like how do you even compare that? It doesn't make any sense. Different
Okay, I
output,
see what
different
you're saying
styles in
now.
the fight.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad you're saying these things, man, because that's what I'm seeing, like you said, on social media, YouTube, amongst boxing supposed heads and people that are talking boxing. Yeah, that's what they're saying because they want to say that last week was a high level chess match and these guys were flawed and slugging it out. That's not what I seen. What I seen is like you said, two guys that had a lot on the line and needed to risk it all, to leave it all in the ring. I don't understand where we lost that part about boxing. I think because what you're saying, we see guys fight safety first. That's something you said. Um, we seen that. Did you see that of Shockey Foster when he's crying about getting robbed?
No. No.
Oh, okay. But he fought in a very safety first, typical slick style, ass style, which you think something you mentioned also. And the other guy named Robinson Conceição, he was pushing the fight, he was being aggressive. And that's something that's been lost in boxing, is that people are scoring the fights for the guy supposedly looking slicker or being more, being more defensively sound than the guy being the aggressor and throwing a lot of punches.
And you know what? What do I call you? I call you Frank Bay or
Whatever
Mr.
you
Bay.
want, just not asshole.
I'm gonna say this,
Yeah.
bro, and I want your fans to listen to this because you know what's a real underrated thing in boxing. Like, I mean, you hear it all the time, but it's really underrated, okay? Because this goes to pure boxing and fighting in boxing, right? Because fighting and boxing to me is interchangeable, man. But I think, oh my gosh, I forgot my train of thought here. Oh yeah, taking risks. Okay, risk taking in throughout rounds is very, very, very underrated. Okay, so sometimes you want to set up feints or you want to set up traps. That's all part of the game of risk taking, right?
Right.
So it's a different ratio when you're comparing what Virgil is trying to do, or like even times I saw Virgil like on his back foot doing, some sneaky, pivoting and lateral move and getting out of danger. I was actually impressed because I didn't see Virgil do that before, right? I like
Right.
that's adversity. So those are some new things, and people or fans probably not, they don't want to recognize that. Even like Bohachuk too, man. Bohachuk just like, man, he was relentless in this fight, showing a lot of
He
pressure.
was. Damn.
I guess what I'm trying to say though, as far as Crawford and Madrimov, yeah, I'm not gonna hate even on that fight because, like I said, sometimes you do what you got to do to win. As you know, people were talking about Shakur Stevenson, which uh, I'll be honest, I'm a fan of it. I've been training for years, and those are the type of guys that you just want to steamroll in sparring. But at the same time, you got to respect it, right? Everybody has their own style. But what I don't agree with is you can't. Well, I don't know if you can't, but being biased to certain styles is all subjective, right? So if you want to be first defensive, if you want to be safety and defensive first versus a guy that's going offensive, you have to give judges benefit of doubt of what they prefer. I don't believe in the whole thing about judges being neutral. Hey, man, judges are human too. They have emotions. They go through different times of the year. So if they want to see a fight, right? It's pro boxing. It's prize fighting. You can't hate a judge that wants to be biased on more offensive, effective aggression versus defensive. Don't you agree that most people try to paint the super defensive as like the de facto of pure boxing? That's not really what it is. That's a narrative, and I think that's incorrect. People should embrace all styles, right?
Yeah, that's part of what I do here on this channel is that I talk about that and that about the Floyd Mayweather era, coming from Pernell Whitaker, who I guess is the cornerstone of that style, and then Floyd Mayweather pretty much cemented it and convinced the public that you don't know what you're watching. This is real boxing. It's hit and not be hit. Sweet science.
Right. So yeah. So you get those things. I mean, it's cool to hear that, but again, that's all subjective, and I think those are just cop outs to, degrade other cultures or different styles, right? Because every part of the world has different styles, as we saw in
Well,
Madrimov or even Bohachuk. There's
yeah,
different
and if
styles throughout
somebody
the world.
if somebody wants to say, "Oh, you're just being biased, you're just being prejudiced," it's like, no, I hear those guys that try to convince me talk about Mexican style and how you're a flat-footed Mexican. Keith Thurman had said that about Tim Tszyu. I got real quick. I'm gonna just show you guys in case you guys forgot. Just bear with me. What do you go by?
I go by al
What-
cuerpo,
El Cuerpo. Okay.
to the body. And ironically, last night was all to the body by Vergil Ortiz and Bohachuk, so it's perfect for my title.
So I'm gonna play the clip in case people forgot.
This is
Bear
my
with me.
last fight on ESPN. Oh.
Got it.
What are you talking about? Huh?
What you make of his comments now? The Mexican thing, I didn't really understand it.
Yeah, like, well, I'm a flat-footed Mexican fighter. Look, if you're calling me a Mexican fighter, I find that as a compliment,
So, yeah, man. I mean, it's not. We're not imagining these things. We're making points. So, yeah, you're spot on, man.
Yeah, that's kind of funny though. But I think because Keith Thurman said that about about Tim Tszyu.
Yeah,
Right, that's
but
what
I
the
mean,
clip is.
But if when they're talking about how you said they're hating on the Virgil and Bohachuk and saying they're flawed and things like that, that's what they're elaborating. Basically, that's what they're saying. It's just two flat-footed kind of Mexican-style fighters, and it's not real skill. It's not the sweet science. Oh, you just want to see brawls. Yeah, man, that's what we talk about here. That's why, we have a fan base, and I let people come on to talk because, I'm not gonna push people off that don't agree with me. You know what I'm saying? So I want to hear it all, and that's why, I think I'm agreeing with a lot of what you have to say. I think we have similar viewpoints on it. And because you said you heard other places denigrating it. So that's why I asked you, like, who are these people? Like, it's crazy talk.
Yeah, and also the whole I'm trying to think. Sometimes I have to like stop and think what is meant by the whole flat-footed style or the the comfort style. I guess we can say even like with Chavez, even like Foreman was doing those kind of things. But like if you watch like Chavez versus Edwin Rosario back in the day, you can see like styles of the Triple G or So I mean, I think people get confused with a particular style from an individual boxer, and they just assume that's a whole nation. I guess maybe that was Chavez, but there were guys even before Chavez. I mean, look at like Salvador Sanchez, who's considered one of the best. Chavez was amazing, amazing offensively. I mean, I would have Chavez beating guys like Inoue nowadays easily. That's how good he was. And you don't see people saying, "Oh, well, that's the Mexican style." Or they, I don't. I'm sorry, they don't refer as Salvador Sanchez as a blueprint for Mexican style. And you probably agree. Like Canelo, Marquez, Morales, Barrera, they all have different variances. I said Marquez, of course. So there's really no such thing as a quote Mexican style unless you're referencing Chavez in particular. And if you, I guess if they are, that's more of a compliment because. Chavez was like your seek and destroy type of guy, and he could cut off the ring. So what would it matter, right? If you're doing the quote the sweet science. And by the way, I'm not dissing the sweet science, whatever the sweet science is. I think the sweet science is universal. I guess I'm sorry. The it would be the slick black fighter is what they say maybe because this is the narrative in American culture between divided fans, which is
Well,
good. It's good.
yeah,
It's healthy. It's good that there's variance. I don't mind it at all, and that's what makes boxing alive. But it's just
it
always good
does.
to at least be have some sort of level of agreement, right? So you see Virgil doing good, you see Bohachuk doing good. At least just don't downplay it because a previous fight last week wasn't as what you expected it to be. I'm sure you agree with that. So.
Yeah, no, I mean this is why we talk boxing, right? Because you're gonna get these people that you're saying that are downplaying or denigrating the fight, hating on it, you know, um, and automatically what they're gonna gravitate to is, oh, he can't beat Bud Crawford. He's more slick, more athletic. They're gonna say the same things: more athletic, more slick. He's the epitome of the sweet science. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna dismiss Virgil as a non-athletic, non-slick, flat-footed Mexican. I'm just saying it, and maybe nobody's gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it because that's what we're talking about. And I think what you're saying, it's a misconception. It's just a contrast in style. If I'm getting what you're saying right.
Yeah, it's probably become too cliche nowadays, going 2024. It's like beyond cliche. But to be fair though, I haven't really heard much of people saying that Crawford is so much of the slick style because we've seen Crawford do a lot of mistakes too, getting clipped with those overhand rights by guys like Mean Machine or even like the Benavides Jr. and what was the other guy like Evanesian, which is fine. It's okay. Crawford, he has a good chin. Uh, but the thing is, like Crawford going up to 154, like taking shot, or even like when Sean Porter, he was taking some flush shots, and for me, I'm surprised that when Bud takes those type of shots, he literally pushes off his feet. And hey, man, the higher you go in weight, that's not going to be the same type of result. So who knows? I'm a fan of Crawford, to be honest with you, but as far as him being the quote slick style, that's not even Crawford's repertoire because Crawford doesn't slip punches like that. Crawford is more of an offensive fighter. Crawford is like a Marquez, if you will. Remember Marquez was always
Yeah,
an amazing offensive counterpuncher.
true,
And
true.
of course, Marquez fought, in my opinion, he fought more difficult fights than people on Crawford's resume. But I like Crawford because he's kind of like the Black American version of Marquez. And hopefully, some
He
fans don't take that the wrong way, but hey, why not, right?
no,
It's all part of boxing.
no. But what I think what I'm trying to say is, okay, so you said but what we said before about Crawford is that was always because he had this massive physical size advantage. So he had the firepower advantage. But once he was in with a live body, we seen that disappear. He reverted back to the slick style.
that's his best option. Rely on his athleticism and kind of jab and make it look, try to convince people that he won with the sweet science. And that's going to be different against Vergil Ortiz because he's going to get pressured. He's going to get body shots. And is Bud Crawford going to fire back? Is he going to get in a slugfest with Vergil Ortiz?
Right. And I'll say, even though a lot of fans are kind of making fun of that one guy, Sebastian Fundora.
Ooh, Fundora.
Fundora actually has a lot of power, man, in his uppercuts and his shots. I'm sure you agree. Obviously, his size and the momentum of his swing, but he's very like bony type of physique. But when you're lighter in your movements and you're effective, it's still gonna sting. Kind of like Golovkin, right? Golovkin didn't really have a big muscular physique, but his shots were so effective and accurate that every punch counted. Maybe that's not a good comparison with Fundora, but I think guys like Fundora could hurt a lot of guys at 154. Then that obviously that being guys like Crawford or even the Vergil Ortiz, Bohachuk. We saw what he did to Mendoza. We saw what he did to Lubin. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting landscape right now. I think 154 is probably one of the most interesting divisions, to be honest. I don't know any other divisions aside maybe from Bam or Rodriguez division and maybe Inouye's, but I think 154 is, and I think Boots should move up already. I don't know whether fights are for him at 147, but if he goes to 154, I think 154 will be revived, and there'll be some good fights there.
Yeah, I had said that earlier. I think Boots Ennis, like what you see that this it's the hottest division in boxing, 154. Like I said, the names Tim Tszyu, Fundora, Spence, Crawford, Ortiz, Jesus Ramos, Lubin, even the Cromwell guy just made a statement last night. If you're Boots Ennis, you need a big fight. Are you going to stay at 147 where you're clearly killing yourself? All right, you're being a weight bully, and you're going to fight Brian Norman. I mean, there's nobody there. It's a dead division. You're just going to collect trinkets. So if he was serious about making noise, then, you just make the jump. You go up to 154 where it's hot. Because all those guys, they're going to beat each other. I mean, you put Tim Tszyu, Fundora, Crawford, and Ortiz in a tournament, I think they all lose. There's no one person. I don't even think they all make it out of that tournament. Bohachuk and Ortiz lost lives last night. Like if you're in a video game, they got something taken out of them. If you agree with that.
Yeah, I hope Ortiz is good too, because I know Ortiz. He went to the hospital afterwards. Just get some brain checks. I said, he took too many risks in the fight trying to go for that KO, and good for him. But yeah, it's going to be a hot division at 154, man. That actually is a really good idea. If there's a tournament at 154, I never thought about that. That might actually happen, assuming this Turkey guy is gonna make that.
You know what? That would be, but I think Turkey favors Crawford the way he favors AJ. So like what Turkey's doing with AJ is make Usyk and Fury beat the shit out of each other, and then serve them up to AJ. And it looks like maybe Turkey will say, yeah, rematch Bohachuk, beat the shit out of each other, and then Crawford gets to sit there and feast on their leftovers.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. It's I don't really know how to. I don't know if you've done live streams on this whole Turkey and Riyadh season thing, but there's definitely a lot of good points to talk about the politics of Riyadh season, all the sports washing from the Middle East, because, like I said, some things that Turkey has said, they sound very counterproductive to want to, boost boxing. Like I said before, he was, I don't know if I said it on your panel or I said it on a previous upload, but, he was complaining about Canelo. He literally said the word Canelo started it. Like, who talks like that? Even if you're a diplomat or an ambassador, nobody talks like that unless you're a child or a teenager. It's not in our culture to talk that way. Maybe in UFC, sure, but to say, oh, well, Canelo started is the reason I responded. But we know that's not the case, because he's the one that first said that this UFC event was gonna beat September 14th, right? That was from Turkey's thing, because he's not really thinking about boxing fans and what they think about UFC. He's just thinking about the business side. He's not thinking of repercussions of what he's saying. So that there, I can tell that he doesn't really follow boxing the way boxing fans think he does. And then what else? And then he said that if Canelo was smart, that Canelo should take this money. And it's just everybody knows in boxing that's not what you would say to someone like Canelo Alvarez. As I said in previous videos, Canelo has done 11.3 million pay-per-views. That's way more than what AJ and Fury have done combined, and they're making bigger purses than Canelo in Saudi Arabia. So either Turkey's being stupid, or a lot of fans can't really put the math together. But Turkey's worth a lot. I mean, sorry, Turkey. Canelo's worth a lot more than those guys in Saudi Arabia. And I'll say this one thing too, bro. Without a doubt, man, a lot of these promoters, they're taking they're taking those envelopes from Turkey, because they're just quiet and they're just letting them ride, and whatever. Good, that's the whole nature of sports watching.
Yeah, no, I agree. When did he first come in the ball game?
When did he first come to what? Say that again. Yeah, I think it cut off, bro. So yeah, I mean, I'll just say this about the whole Riyadh season tour in the United States, or I guess the Riyadh season throughout the world. So this is how it works. This even happened with Kazakhstan, but the Kazakhstan doesn't have the type of funds that Saudi Arabia does. But I remember once upon a time, Kazakhstan was doing that expo thing with Golovkin on his fights and his career. And obviously that's just to build, the economy, build tourism to Kazakhstan. And now a lot of fans don't know, and you probably shouldn't know. It's kind of boring, but it's just the nature of the beast. But Saudi Arabia, most of you know, obviously it's a Islamic country. And so one thing that a lot of sporting fans worldwide, what they cannot do in Saudi Arabia is drink alcohol. So how do you influence a tourist or a fan to come to your country, watch a football match, a boxing match, but you can't drink alcohol? These little awkwardnesses is one thing that's kind of on the, I should say, not on the progressive side for Saudi Arabia. Maybe they don't care, but most of Saudi Arabian tourism comes from Islamic countries, so they go there to do the Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca. And so Americans or the UK or those in South America, to be honest, the statistics don't have them really going to Saudi Arabia. And I was kind of thinking the other day, maybe that's the reason why Turki Al-Sheikh doesn't really care so much to make the Benavidez and Canelo fight, because that's really easy money to do. Whatever, 200 million, and give Benavidez 50 million. That's so easy for them to do. They paid that French player Mbappe 350 million euro for 1 year, and euro is more than a dollar, and that was just for one appearance for 1 year. So the Saudis, if people really truly believe that Canelo Alvarez versus Benavidez is the biggest fight in boxing, I'm going to say that again. If people believe that Canelo versus Benavidez is the biggest fight in boxing, let's say it does 1.5 or 2 million pay-per-views. And by the way, that Saudi Arabians don't expect a return, because in sports watching, it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it. And in theory, you're not supposed to get a return anyways. It's just to bring tourism and to bring a better understanding that the country wants to do better against humanitarian laws. But anyways, they can make the money for Canelo and Benavidez. And I have a sneaky suspicion that Tom Brown and Al Heyman are telling Benavidez and Canelo to push those numbers, because if you want a Riyadh season logo on a Canelo and Benavidez event, you're going to have to pay that premium. As Frank Smith said on Seconds Out earlier this week, he said, if you want that Canelo fight or the Benavidez fight, you got to pay the premium, as they did for Fury and Usyk, that are already making 9 figures in Saudi Arabia. And everybody knows that Fury and Usyk, they're not big pay-per-view sellers, right? So think about the logic of that, right? How do you justify giving Fury or Usyk 100 million when they don't have big pay-per-views to begin with? And how does that benefit the Saudi Arabian government with tourism? And you can't drink alcohol at the stadium. Whereas Canelo and Benavidez, if you want to do it in America, hey, alcohol is not a problem. So you can easily just multiply everything by two. If everybody agrees that Canelo's worth more than Usyk or Fury by two, which technically he is, right? So what is 100 million times two? It's just simple math, guys, and the turkey knows that.
Right.
That's why he doesn't really say much.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's a good way to break it down. Just multiply it by two, right? If he Canelo's worth more, which he obviously is, um, why do you think people are going against that narrative then? Because if you explain
Which
it like
narrative?
that, well, what you're saying is like it's easy to see that Canelo and what you're saying Benavidez are right in making it a premium to make Turkey pay a premium. Because if that's what you want and you want to make boxing big, that's the biggest fight, and that's what you think, then you just double what you paid Fury and Usyk, which didn't even do that well and wouldn't do well here. Why wouldn't you do that for Canelo Alvarez when it's pretty
Wait,
simple?
here's what I think is going on right now, kind of like a realistic point of view. So the PBC, or I should say Al Heyman, Tom Brown, right now PBC is going through a second renaissance of like restructuring their whole business, okay? And the main stars that they have obviously are Canelo Alvarez and Tank Davis. Obviously, Canelo being the big money guy. So that's what PBC has, and they know that. So they're gonna make Canelo feel good, and Canelo gives what the fans want. So PBC is a good money machine with Canelo Promotions or Tom Brown Promotions and Canelo Alvarez, whichever way you wanna mix it. And Al Heyman and Tom Brown know that guys like Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn have been doing big plays in Saudi Arabia, right? So they're not going to come. They don't want to be what I call swindled, right? They don't want to come short. If you want to do business in the United States with alcohol and you want to put that Riyadh season logo, then you could easily afford, as we said, that times two. You probably agree. Canelo's probably worth even more than that because remember, the pay-per-view buys in England are 25 quid. That's about like 29 bucks. Okay, so the 1.5 million that Fury and Usyk did is really, I mean, hit that by 30% more, right? That's probably 500,000 pay-per-views if you wanted to equal about $90. So, and we know Canelo did with Plant, he did what, 800,000 pay-per-view buys. And I did the math the other day and Canelo pretty much walked away. So check it out. Let's see. Canelo got a guarantee with Plant 45 million, right? Or 40 million. And then Canelo took about 37 million pay-per-view back in because Canelo takes 60% of the pay-per-view. And then with the sales gate, they said he did 18 million with Plant, so he took about 14 million. If you add all that up, aside from other back end money, he made about 96, 98 million dollars. Okay, so that's what Turkey knows, or he's, I don't know who's telling him, but guys like Frank Warren here know those numbers. And so Turkey needs to realize that's what he's up against. And the thing is, I don't really want to put Turkey as kind of a bad guy. Maybe he's being naive right now to the public in the American point of view. I don't know. I don't, like as you said, he's kind of biased to Crawford, and the reason that is because Crawford's American, and Saudi Arabia, they want an American athlete to represent that Riyadh season. So, and
Okay,
that's
yeah, yeah,
who's
yeah.
the only American athlete that's left that's undefeated is Terrence Crawford. So. And unfortunately, Crawford really didn't make that much with Madrimov too. I heard he made a guarantee of 2.5 million, and Madrimov made 700,000. So realistically, I think even Crawford was paid a lot low, right? I mean, for all the hype that they're giving Terrence Crawford, I think Crawford should have gotten a lot more. He should have gotten probably like at least 10 million guaranteed, plus other back end. Unfortunately, they said the pay per view didn't do that good also in the Madrimov thing, but. I don't know. I just think it's some good times right now because I think, and I told people before, don't be surprised if Turkey turns around because Riyadh season, they need a Canelo event. They need to attack the American market. And to do that, you need a Canelo Alvarez event. So there's really no other choice. So I think right now it's just more of like, I don't know, maybe it's just acting naive. But I'm more than sure you're gonna see Turkey Al Sheikh work with Canelo Alvarez. They need him, bro. The Riyadh season would love that logo on a Canelo Alvarez event. So we'll see how it does against that UFC card, right, on September 14th.
The El Noche card, yeah. Well, I mean, they have Sean O'Malley, an Irish guy, headlining it, which is fine. And people are trashing the Berlanga fight, which is fair. I mean, I don't know how you feel about Canelo's choice of Berlanga, but the way you broke it down, I think it's fair. I think you hit the nail on the head. He obviously wants Canelo Alvarez, right? He needs Canelo Alvarez, according to what you're saying, right? So, and he's with Tom Brown and PBC. So it only makes sense. Everything you say just makes sense for them to say, hey, Canelo, we need to make this guy pay a premium.
Right. And also, I mean, a lot of people aren't focusing on the co-main actually for the Canelo and Berlanga thing. Okay, yeah. So we all know about the whole. I said it before that there really hasn't been a fight since Canelo versus Cotto. That was a 2015, and Puerto Rican fans, they need, they're also hungry. They need another big event. It doesn't matter if the opponents or their hero is a star or not. They just want a good event, right? You have a nice barbecue. You got friends. It's another Boricua event against Mexico, so that's good. But the co-main is actually important because, and I actually posted a reel on this on IG, and Danny Garcia was the first one to like it, and I told me asking for an interview. But if Danny Garcia beats Edison Lara, he becomes the third Puerto Rican, I guess, middleweight champ after Felix Trinidad when he beat William Joppy, and then when Miguel Cotto beat Sergio Martinez, right? That was I don't know if that was a catch, but whatever. Those were all 160 middleweight bouts, and so Danny Garcia wins this. It's good. I mean, there's like some little marketing flavors in that for that. At least, some people are. I was in some Cuban channels the other day, and they said that Danny Garcia doesn't he doesn't fall into the role of a Puerto Rican fighter. And I'm like, I disagree, because I guess the unfortunate nature between Puerto Rico and the United States, it's a Commonwealth. It's interchangeable, right? If you're born in Puerto Rico, you're automatically an American, and I guess vice versa. But I think Danny Garcia should be getting a lot more respect. Okay, yeah, he's been inactive for 2 years, and Eddie Lara is not really the type of I guess, fighter nowadays that people should really clamor for. But at the end of the day, look at how PBC are very smart in building this card, because they got this common opponent with Lara, right? So people are going to tune into that because he fought Canelo back in 2014, right? And then you have Caleb Plant, who also fought Canelo. So in the casual point of view, they're just going to connect the dots, and they might actually be intrigued with this bout. I'm calling, honestly, about I want to say 850K pay-per-view. If they did that with Plant, and that was a non-Hispanic, I guess, full event card, then I think PBC are going to do probably something good with this Canelo thing. And this is important because this is what's going to make Turkey do his next move on what he really wants to invest in that premium, if he's really about it, to make a better, I guess, the fight that we all want to see, right? Benavidez versus Canelo. I think right now, Benavidez, we heard Ellerby, we heard Sampson, they all said, yeah, that money is real. The 200 million could be done. So we know that the people over at PBC, they know they want that Frank Warren, they want that Eddie Hearn type of little side envelopes that they're getting in Saudi Arabia. And good for them. We all know boxing is the Wild West. It's not regulated. So that's the nature of the beast. And like I said, I think PBC is having a second renaissance right now. It's pretty much, to me, when I see PBC, it's really Canelo Promotions and Tom Brown Promotions. And of course, you got Tank Davis. And how is it a coincidence that we see a lot of Canelo Alvarez and Tank Davis pictures circling around? It's all just simple business, in my opinion. But we'll see what Turkey's about after the fight between Canelo and Berlanga on the 14th. So, and I'll just say this about that Sphere thing. I think it's kind of, well, first and foremost, I think the fighters should make a difference, right? Where you're going to pay an expensive price for a ticket, and then two, I guess the people at the Sphere, what are they? They're looking up into the atmosphere of the event. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be like important fighters to make that worthwhile. Otherwise, it just seems like a spectacle going to like Disney World, right? So you're paying what, $1,000 or $2,000, $5,000 for a ticket for a Disney World event to see, I guess, men in tights.
Men in tights.
I don't know. That's my thing. I'm not really a big UFC fan, to be honest. So at least 10 years ago, maybe, but I don't follow UFC nowadays. Could care less.
I agree. I'm not a fan of men in tights, but that's interesting, man. Yeah, Turkey's gonna have a decision to make. What's up, Jose? Salute. Jump in anytime. Yeah, man. You kind of broke it down, man. That I never thought of it like that, man. Yeah, because Canelo's aligned with PBC, and they've been said to be in trouble, but they got Canelo Alvarez and Tank Davis, and they know what Turkey's working with Eddie Hearn and getting paid like that.
Um, yeah, a lot of boxing fans don't look at it that way, and I'm surprised that they don't see the writing on the wall, so to speak.
Right. And you know who feels really salty on the current business of right PBC and Canelo Promotion? I should say Tom Brown Promotions and Canelo Promotions. The one that feels really salty is De La Hoya. I mean, he's making it very apparent because he can see that Al Heyman is still doing good stuff, right? He took pretty much. I mean, can you imagine that, right? The history of Al Heyman taking Golden Boy Promotion fighters, right? The pool of those fighters, and then at the very late of the, I guess you want to call it a legacy of Al Heyman, he was able to bring in Canelo Alvarez. I'm not going to say Al Heyman's a saint or vice versa, even De La Hoya, but it's obvious that De La Hoya is feeling salty. You know, even Bernard nowadays isn't really saying much as much as before because maybe he's just seeing like it's just all simple business. De La Hoya, Munguia just lost to Canelo. Who else did De La Hoya lose? I can't recall. I guess Surdo Ramirez is not really making a lot of heat nowadays. I know they just try to do that. What's that guy, Eric Priest? I didn't even know he was a middleweight. He looks from the pictures. I thought he was like a welterweight. But I can maybe see like Eric Priest versus Ryan Garcia in the future, whenever Ryan Garcia gets cleared. Um, but yeah, I just think right now De La Hoya knows what's up. And that's why he's actually favoring Turkey to go because Turkey said that he doesn't want to deal with any middlemen, uh, right, when dealing with Canelo Alvarez, and he's referring to Tom Brown and Al Heyman. So that's why it's
Mm,
not a coincidence that De La Hoya is cheering for Turkey because he's going against the grain also with
I
those guys. So
see.
De La Hoya is an interesting character, man. He's like neutral. He's not UK. He's not Saudi Arabia. I guess he's like,
He's the
I guess, purebred Los Angeles cat, and he
with
has his
big
thing.
time, with the big dogs, with these big guys, man. That's an extra. You connected the dots, man. Yeah, Oscar's sitting there really salty, right? He's always hating on Canelo, always pissed at Canelo. Um, yeah, and then for Al Heyman to take Canelo too, um,
I
that's
think,
crazy work.
in my opinion, I think like slowly but surely, all promotional Shermans, they're gonna turn into Bob Aaron, like little by little, just all in complaining. Like,
Yeah,
Salute, Puro. Jump in anytime, man. Yeah.
Yo, yo,
Uh,
yo. What up? What up? What up? Go ahead.
what's
Go ahead.
up?
Go ahead. Finish cooking. Finish cooking.
Nah, go ahead. Whoever wants to chime in, man. You guys, just a couple new guys. We were talking
I think
about
Jose was going.
Victor.
I think Jose was going. Go ahead. Go ahead.
nah, I just said what I want to say. Just want to say that silly comment. That go ahead.
None, man. Just saying what's up. Salute to the panel and shit, man. I just barely started listening to you guys. What you guys think of this weekend's fights or what?
Well, El Cuerpo is saying that there's a lot of hate going on about the Virgil. People are hating on the Virgil Bohachuk fight.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. And shit called it a robbery and stuff like that. I thought it was a close fight, but far from a robbery. You know, that's yeah, straight up hating.
yeah. I mean,
I'm
I
with you.
had mine 114, 112. I even 113, 112. But I would not have been mad if it was a draw.
Nah, I
Yeah, no,
mentioned that.
close,
I
close fight.
mentioned. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, brother. You got it.
No, no. I think I mentioned it in uh Never Sober server. Virgil actually won every single round, besides the knockdowns, but they were close rounds. But the thing is, something that I like from Virgil, and funny enough, I picked Bohachuk to to win before the fight. But something that I like from Virgil is like he was trying to finish strong, like by every round, like make sure he connect with authority, like before the bell rang. But I can see how, like, because the thing is that on my first watch I thought Bohachuk won, and then I watched it again this morning, and I was like, well, Bohachuk wasn't connected like authoritatively enough, and he was on the ropes a couple of times. Even though that Virgil was like stepping back, he was hitting Bohachuk clearly with his jab. Like he was hitting him with his jab at will, but Bohachuk, when he started jabbing, he was hitting Virgil at will as well. Like it was not like it was just like one way highway. I think it was like you turn my turn into like the last belt, and Virgil used to like take the last turn like before the last 10 seconds. But it was really a close fight though, and I noticed that Virgil is not as like this big monster that he was at 147. Like he actually was he was humble to like actual boxed once in his life. Because back then he was just like trying to maul guys, like bigger, stronger guy. He didn't care like if he was taking punishment, even though he paid a little bit on that Kavaliuskas fight. But I like what I saw. At the same time, Virgil he will have to like rewire himself. He's not this knockout monster anymore at this weight class, and also he was used to just pick guys coming up to 147 like Orozco, like Orozco and what's his name that fought also Ramirez. What's his name? A Jamaican dude. Maurice Hooker. And Maurice Hooker was touching him though, and I think they stopped that fight because of his arm, or like an hand injury or some shit. But he was getting touched in that fight, and I mean, Virgil has to rewire himself. If he boxes, because I see he can box, I think he will go well in this division. Just don't see how he's a big of a monster. He has to pick his opponents really well now. I'm not saying he's a dead fish, but he has to mind his P's and Q's now. He just cannot be squaring up like like David Benavidez and just walk through them guys. Then.
I'd even say that the Bohachuk is actually a very underrated fighter too. I mean, sure, he lost kind of the same way that Venado Lopez just past weekend fought. When you get clipped, when he fought Brandon Adams, he got clipped with a left hook, and after that, he was just gone. Those things happen, right? We've seen it even with Pac. So I wouldn't go as far as saying that the Vergil Ortiz needs to reset because of
the funny thing
I
is
think this is the type of experience he needed.
The funny thing is like Brandon Adams is another guy that you cannot just slip on. He's one of those he's not like a complete journeyman, but he's one of those guys like you just cannot sleep on. He's like a very like he was a really good amateur fighter. He has a lot of experience, and if you remember, Charlotte struggled with him. He couldn't stop him. Like Brandon Adams, he's a tough guy though. Like it's not an easy pick.
Yeah, I mean,
Bohachuk, wasn't experienced in the fight, so like I think he paid for it because I think he got surprised with a left hook or something like that. Because I remember watching the fight live. I just didn't know like Bohachuk would fight again.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm getting the impression a lot of people think that Virgil should have ran over this guy. Like Virgil was like technically moving up because he's only had he had 2 fights, but they were like, what did they last? Like 6 minutes. But Bohachuk is like literally the top contender at 154 until he got knocked out by Brandon Adams and then the pandemic hit. So that's what I'm getting the feeling that people think that like Virgil should have ran over this motherfucker. For me, it was like the 2 top prospects at 154, top contenders. Excuse me.
And you know what's funny? Like I think outside of Bohachuk, I don't think it is well, obviously Fundora, but outside of Bohachuk and Fundora, obviously, I don't think there will be like somebody as big at those at those 2, right? And on the side of let's say for example Terence Crawford, outside of Madrimov, like there's nobody as awkward and big as him in that division. So like in reality, those 2 don't really have like much competition outside of like Fundora and Temzu. And even Temzu is like susceptible to one of them guys. So I think and I think I mentioned it before too. Like it's kind of like so convenient for like Terence Crawford. Just like they just added that WBO belt bonus, and that like I think some type of rank at the WBC. And just for that, just one fight at 154. You know what I mean? Because Fundora is gonna get stripped by the WBO, and like by that particular order, he's gonna be elevated as a WBO. So he's gonna be a unified champ just from one fight, and he didn't fight for the other belt. So if whoever wins from the Fundora Spence fight. I
Yeah,
think
they're trying
he only
to
gonna
set
have
him
to
up
fight
like
like
they
two
did at
fights. You know what I mean?
140.
For like undisputed. So I think they just
Yeah,
putting like a red carpet for him. I think his only challenge will be like Virgil. And Virgil even looks kind of weak though.
I don't know.
I'm saying
I
like
thought
I think
Virgil fought
they put the
well.
red carpet again for Terence Crawford though.
Thought he fought
Not
well,
much
and I think
opposition, and probably he's
yeah,
gonna slap like a hit rehydration clause on one of these guys.
yeah, and
My
I
bad,
think
go
they're
ahead.
trying to set him up like they did at 140. You know, like fucking, they couldn't do like one fight for like 3 belts like they did with fucking whatever that guy's name. That's from Ghana or some shit.
Well, there were a couple of guys that did like
Ndongo,
like 3 belts for one
Ndongo,
fight. Yeah, Ndongo.
Ndongo.
No, Ndongo had 2 belts. He had 2 belts.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
Because he unified with Postal. He unified with Postal. He had the WBO.
yeah. Unified with Postal, and
Yeah,
Ndongo beat the guy
and
what's his
he
name?
had the BF and the
Edgar or
WBA.
something.
Yeah,
Igor or Edgar.
yeah,
This is the
something like that.
irony. This is the irony we were talking with Frank earlier, because we're kind of critical on the performance between Crawford and Bohachuk, right, last night, which was, I think, almost worthiest fight of the year in my honest opinion. Because think about it, I thought the judges had it correctly. I had it 114 and 112 for Virgil, and if we want to be honest, and we should be honest with those knockdowns, I think Virgil had to do a lot to get back into that fight. So that type of adversity means a lot. So how do we compare that with the Crawford and Madrimov fight? We were talking about this earlier. You can't even compare the type of output, right? I think the total amount of punches that Crawford and Madrimov did in their fight was probably equal to like rounds 1 through 5 from Bohachuk and Ortiz. So it's not a realistic, or I should say, fair comparison. Um, Going by, I thought Vergil Ortiz and Bohachuk did actual fighting, like true grit fighting, not the safety first type of performance that both Madrimov and Crawford did. And I think they're spectacular fighters. Don't get me wrong, but we need to be fair, man. And that's even like in sparring, when you taunt guys and you want to know what they're really made of. I think Vergil Ortiz and Bohachuk need to get a lot of credit for the performance they did. And remember that Turkey Al Sheikh was there at the event, so there was a lot of pressure on their minds too. They took more risks, and when you take more risks, you're going to take you're going to do more mistakes, more accidents, and that's what we saw. Whereas with Crawford and Madrimov, it's practical when you're not taking a lot of risks, right? So just
Yeah.
think about that at the 154 landscape. So I do kind of agree with what you guys are saying. Like Bohachuk is a big dude, even Fundora. I think those guys would give problems to Madrimov and Crawford as well. And we will see a difference in contrast in these performances. What did we see with Ortiz last night, right? Again, 2 knockdowns. He had to come back strong. He also has a pretty good chin, man, because even when he gets clipped, or what you guys may think if he's hurt, he still comes back strong, right? So both guys were taking each other to the ropes, back and forward. What else? We saw some nice lateral movement on the defensive end, right on the back foot from Virgil that I haven't seen before. I like that type of stylistic adversity. I like Virgil's double pump jab, right, that he did. So there's a lot of like nice little attributes that both guys showed. I thought Bohachuk had a pretty badass uppercut in the fight, like really, really good uppercut, which would cause problems to a lot of guys if they want to fight on the inside game, right, toe to toe. And again, the irony, we didn't see that with the Crawford and Madrimov fight. Again, they're brilliant fighters, but we need to be fair when comparing, what we saw in these last 2 weeks, as far as like punch output and going the full 12 rounds in stamina. Because when you're not exerting power shots, of course you can go 12 rounds. That's not a problem. So we need to put more respect on Ortiz and Bohachuk's performance. And I'm just literally speaking transparent. I'm not for either of those guys.
No, I agree with you. Like at points in the fight with Bud and Madrimov, there was like a feint fest. I was kind of like, like it didn't last long, but it was kind of like, is anybody gonna throw, or are they just gonna fucking like posture at each other? But yeah, no, definitely, the more action-packed fight, the more technical fight, the more pleasing to the eye fight for me was Sergey and Virgil. But I knew that going in, man. I knew that going in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I
gotta go, fellas. I'll be right back, though.
Go ahead. You want to say something?
Oh no, I think no. I was gonna say I'm a fan of all those fights. To be honest with you, I like it, but we just need to be fair and not, as we were saying earlier, we can't like, I guess, pick and choose or downgrade. It's always good to be transparent as far as styles, and that even goes for like Shakur, man. They say Cepeda and Shakur is gonna happen, right, during negotiations,
That's what
and
the
I
turkey
think
say.
Shakur Stevenson he's the hardest guy to hit in boxing, but I think if Shakur go up to 147 and 154, yeah, the problem will start to arise. So context is everything. Weight classes make a difference, and when you want to be a multi-weight champion, that's when like you start to open the Pandora's box on what your style is really about, right? Because Shakur Stevenson, like Devin Haney, were pretty big for their weight classes, so there are some slight advantages. Uh,
Right.
but yeah,
That's the other thing. I mean, I know this. It sounds like a Virgil stream, but yeah, I mean, Bohachuk too, man. I mean, people thought he won the fight. That's how good. I mean, see, I think people are missing it. People are missing how good Bohachuk was, right? Like, okay, you don't want to talk about how people like we're talking about the haters, right? They don't want to point out how good Bohachuk was, right? Because they want to say Nagimov was this elite talent, and that's why it was a close fight, right? Because it's going to elevate Bud Crawford. But it's like they want to point out Virgil's flaws as opposed to, man, that Ukrainian was a tough motherfucker, and you know it because, like you said, in Cuerpo, he was slugging it out. It was high level. Why are people missing that it was such a high level fight, as well as being exciting, as well as being entertaining?
I mean, it's maybe what we were saying earlier. There's some maybe fear and insecurity because if we want to really be fair and realistic, I mean, obviously Bohachuk and Virgil showed a lot more grit than Crawford and Madrimov, right? When you're not taking risks and you're just fighting at range and just dipping and weaving. I mean, come on, it's not the same thing. If we want to be realistic to an actual fight, we got to see what Bohachuk's chin's really about, and we got to see what Virgil's chin's about. And of course, it's not the same thing as like the Brandon Adams because that was like a really, really bad mistake. I don't know if that was in the 11th or 12th round that Bohachuk got clipped by Brandon Adams, but I mean, anything can happen in
He get
boxing. But
clipped on the eighth.
that was even earlier, huh? I was talking about the
No,
Brandon Adams
but to
fight
be
with Bohachuk.
fair, he didn't have a lot of experience, at the time, because he had almost the same amount of fights as Virgil. He had like what, like 25 fights. At the time, he had like not many fights. And the thing is, at the time, I think he was under more or less under that, like golden boy out diet. So I think that was his first step up. And again, Brandon Adams is not somebody who can you sleep with, sleep on. If you remember the Charlotte fight, he had Charlotte, walking back. He had Charlotte hurt a couple times. Like Charlotte was just not like he was just not keen, just like exchange with Brandon Adams. And Brandon Adams to me is like a little bit of like Donny Garcia. If you know the cream of the crap, you might get slept down.
Well, fellas, I'm at the two hour mark, so man, it's been fantastic. It's been great. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna start wrapping it up here. So I just want to finish on your guys' opinions about because we've acknowledged the hate. Virgil got the hate. Bohachuk is a beast. But what I want to finish on, and maybe I'll come back. You guys, El Cuerpo, come back anytime. Salute, never sobers. Jose, sorry you came in late, brother. We've been here 2 hours. Fantastic conversation. Salute, Puro. Man, we got to do this again, man. I think I want to come back later in the week after the dust has settled. People have kind of got their feelings aside. I was emotional, man. I was emotional because it was a great fucking fight. Yeah, sorry. So I'm going to do it midweek probably. I was emotional because I don't mind being emotional. People say that's a weakness, but I mean, it was a great fight, man. But what I want to wrap it up is, do we want a rematch or should Virgil say fuck it and go straight to Crawford? My take, I'm like, if I'm a manager, promoter, fuck it. Go after Crawford. You're not going to get another bite at the apple. A rematch is pointless considering you can go after the number one pound for pound guy and become a superstar.
Oh,
I agree. Well, let's see what Turkey says here forward.
I mean, the real question. I'm gonna get hate for this. Does you think Bud Crawford even wants this? Does he want that Virgil smoke? I'm doing a little bit of hot take, but I ain't heard Virgil's. I mean, look, you got this guy Bo Mac. You got all these haters, Bud fanatics. They're quick to call out Canelo. Why isn't Bud right on Instagram? Let's do it, Virgil. Is he maybe tentative too?
I think Crawford had a humble moment when he fought Madrimov. Even if you
Excellent
saw
point.
his like if you see the epilogue, like like even the post interviews, he was he was not without fire like he used to be before with that cocky like yo
Damn,
his
that's a
southern
great
accent and
point,
shit
man. Yep.
like being
You
like
agree, El Corporal? Sorry, that was just a great point. You agree, El Corporal? What Jose just said?
like
If Crawford
I'm
was
not saying
humbled against the
like
Madrimov fight,
He's
yeah
saying he
but
had a humble moment. That's a great point. Would you agree with that?
um, yeah, sure, definitely. I mean, but as we were saying earlier, just Madrimov and Crawford didn't really take a lot of risks in that fight. So it's to be transparent and fair. I don't really know how good Crawford can be at 154. Even that could even be for Madrimov. So what I do know, fellas, is that Vergil Ortiz and Bohachuk put more on the line than that previous performance. So
that's
I'm
an
just trying to
excellent
be as
point, man.
realistic as possible on that.
Because that's an excellent point. Because if you remember, whenever Madrimov, like through his jab of his right hand, he was hitting Crawford, and Crawford, he was not so explosive per se. Was like so keen to go into the counters and that's something that I was talking with my cousins. They're not really like hardcores, they're more like casuals, but even they were able to like point it out like, well, if you see Crawford, he just coming out of on southpaw because I think he fought majority of the fight on southpaw. Um, that's when one, he's taking the foul seriously. Two, he know he don't have like the I would say the leverage to like just quote unquote download information or like do a scouting report of his opponent as he used to do it, on Orthodox, like do it like wait from round one to round three and then like switch to soft and never come back. Um, because he's looking for like catch you with that like Lee hand, that Lee hand game like he has, which is really good. But I think he felt Madrimon's power. Uh, he saw like he cannot move those puppies, his those legs as he used to, and he also see damn, I'm reaching 40, I don't want to getting hit anymore. He probably want to retire, undefeated as well, because he could probably gonna ended up having like an argument against like Mayweather or some shit. I mean, honestly, he has a good no, he has a good outside of like the money making factor, he has a good argument, because he actually did it like the boxer way, and like if you pay attention to what's his, Mayweather, it's not really that much different as a resume, like just name that look cute on your resume. And that's it. Like, come on, like Juan Manuel Marquez, somebody who was at 122, at welterweight. I mean, shit. But it's a cute name on your resume when you like, with those box rec fanatics, like going scrolling down to his resume, like they just
Yeah.
go, they just moist themselves, like, oh god, you see, Maidana, who in reality was like a journeyman by the time he fought him, but whatever.
So do we all agree that fuck a rematch? I mean, they did it maybe down the line, but
I
there's
don't.
only one way, and that's up,
Listen,
and that's go get Crawford.
if Crawford would be like a little younger, like yeah, I would say yeah, let's go down with a rematch. But I think he's on the sense of he's on the I think he's thinking like well, I don't really have much time. I'm pushing 40 right now. Like I cannot take like a rematch with somebody who's younger, who's probably already have like my scouting report. I'm not explosive anymore. I cannot ski my gloves anymore. Because I don't
Oh,
know.
the
Like man,
exploding
I've been
gloves.
boxing. I don't know. I've been boxing for like, bruh, for my entire life, man. Like I did amateurs from like five. I'm sorry, from like 8 to like mid 20s, like early to mid 20s, and now I'm training people and like family and shit. And honestly, bro, like that issue with gloves, I've never seen that. And I even been backstage and like on fights and shit, and like, that happens when you know, quote unquote double stack. You know, you skim your glove. I don't know if you're familiar with the term.
Yeah, I've heard that they claim Inoue did that.
Yeah, I mean, they claim Inoue was trying to, but the thing is, uh, the amount of stack that he put in his glove, it was just like not really that abnormal. It comes along the lines of like what what's his name Reynoso does. He put like towels instead of like the cushion around like the knuckles.
Yeah,
Like he put
I
actual
think
towels. Yeah, like
I
like
think
hand
it's
towels.
actually probably a lot more dark than that because if Everlast is sending the gloves at two different weight classes and it just you know
No, but
just
on the
randomly
Madrimos
breaks
fight,
again, there's some weird stuff going on in the
on
background
Majimo's
there.
fight, because the thing is that controversy initiated like in the negotiations, because Crawford he, I mean, probably his contract is up. I don't know. I'm not completely sure. But he's he's signed by Everlast, right? And funny enough, when they were picking the gloves, you know, Madrimov, I think one person noticed like something on the gloves, and he said, and it was like Crawford who wanted to use like the same gloves and shit. But he like jumped up the gun like, oh no, we're fine. We use the same gloves. Like just pick your brand. I pick you the same brand. Equal footing or whatever.
Right.
And
But
the thing
yeah,
is,
man. I'm sorry, man. I gotta. Sorry, we'll have to come back and do it, man. I gotta wrap it up. But
oh yeah, we
no, it's
gotta go.
cool, man. It's cool. It's cool. It's just that, yeah. Man, great combo, man. Thank you, Al Cuerpo. Got to come back. I think you hit on something, man. Just the last thing is you think there's I don't know what's the right word. You're sensing a fear from Bud Crawford fans that they don't want the Virgil fight. I think the way you put it was interesting.
I mean,
I
definitely
mean,
that, or they don't want to acknowledge. I mean, most people know that Bohachuk and Vergil Ortiz are more than just flat-footed sluggers, obviously.
listen,
So maybe they don't want to acknowledge. They don't want to
There it
acknowledge like
is.
elite skill. That's what it
al
is. But you know
uh,
what?
uh,
They're all
uh,
good fighters, and I'm fans of all of them.
Corporal boxing, and I think you hitting you know, you hitting right at the point, because the thing is, imagine if Spence, for whatever reason, I don't know, a light come off the stage and hit Fundora, and he gets knocked out, and he wins the fight, right? Uh, Now you have Spence being a champion at 154. Imagine if he get the rematch with Bud Crawford at 154, man, for like for all the belts again. Like, like it will be just hilarious, because remember, Fundora has the WBC and
Yeah.
the WBO. I think the other belt is vacant, the IBF. I don't remember who has it. Wait,
But yeah, I mean, just my
wait, no,
final
Fundora
thoughts
has the
on the whole
IBF.
thing is people are seeing that Bohachuk and Virgil Ortiz are the real deal at 154. I'll say it in Spanish, porque saben that the performance that Crawford and Madrimov did, which is funny because I thought it was actually a really good fight, but then Virgil Ortiz and Bohachuk do this. It's like, man, has our head scratching like, damn, maybe we were wrong to maybe put too much stock into Crawford and Madrimov. And you know what? And I agree with you. I don't know what to tell you. Jose, right? Name is Jose. I
Yep.
boxed too for many years, and for me, when you compare a simple comparison between Crawford and Madrimov, even though I don't want to say Crawford is scared, obviously, pero they weren't fighting, and as we say in Spanish, tienen miedo. They didn't really take a lot of risks in that fight. So come on, that's why it's hard for me to accept people hating on this Ortiz versus Bohachuk fight, because when it comes to fighting and when you've sparred before, when you're on either you want to be flat-footed and flee, be more defensive bound, or when you get in an argument with someone else, you know what
Um,
time it is when you want to fight. So
but I'm gonna tell you
Ortiz and
something,
Bohachuk
that
did a really good job.
ellos tenían miedo en diferente manera. Like they were scared in different ways. Because Madrimov, I think he was like of all of Terence Crawford. Because remember, before the fight, he was like, "Oh yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, an all-time great." When he retires, he's a first ballot, blah 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 blah. giving like all the accolades, you know. I think he was like of all of Terence Crawford hanging. And remember, Terence Crawford is like what, like 8 years older than him, or 7 years, some shit. And I'm probably, you know, Madrimos was used to watch like Terence Crawford's highlight back then, you know. And I think he was just of all of them. Damn, well, I'm actually fighting this dude. Like, and Terence Crawford, he was just, you know, every time he got hit by the right hand, he just adjust real quick, you know.
Well, there it is, guys. We got it. Hopefully, we'll see, like El Corpo said, what Turkey's going to do. But I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, El Corpo. Everybody hit the like and come back, man. Hit the subscribe notification. That way, when I go live, we can do it again. Hopefully, yeah, man, come back, guys. It was a great conversation. Really appreciate it. So I'm gonna be getting out of here. Just gonna salute Mexican boxing #1, 2 Matador, Jamar Moore, Hounds, all the real ones, Sergeant, Blaze. You know who you are, man. I Hate Never Sobers, Chillin' Distributor. Yeah, man, great fight, man. Awesome fight. Rematch, Bud Crawford, Tim Zoo, 154 is deep. Shit, what is coming up? I'll have to look back, but yeah, Turkey Ali Canelo beef. It's getting deep, man. Hopefully the end of the year ends in the banger. Will Bud Crawford come back at the end of the year? That remains to be seen. Yeah, man, we'll do it again. But Frank Bay is out. Salute everybody that dropped by, and I'll see you guys again. Peace.
Yeah, thanks for having on.
Oh, you gotta
on the next one, bro.
Oh, thank you. Come back again.
Oh, you gotta give him that huck too and spit on that thing. You get me?
You know what I love? Oh my god. Sorry. I just love a good roast beef sandwich.
Now, I don't give a fuck. I got hired that girl. Suck my motherfucking dick. Oh my god. Oh my.
Oh, you gotta give him that huck too and spit on that thing. You get me?
What are you talking about? Huh?
What did you make of his comments, the Mexican thing? I didn't really understand it.
Yeah, like, well, I'm a flat-footed Mexican fighter. Look, if you're calling me a Mexican fighter, I find that as a compliment, you know?